careful.
Red 10 standing by.
Red 7 standing by.
Red 3 standing by.
Red 6 standing by.
Red 9 standing by.
Red 2 standing by.
Red 11 standing by.
Red 5 standing by. Say my name. I don't have it. I don't have my regular one. Wait, hold on. There, that one works. Okay. Welcome to a Saturday edition of the Rational Mail / dollar cost crypto / cultivate crypto / crypto mindsets. Yes, we're going to sell you a mindset class again. We are anti-marketing on this. I have with me, I've got Mr. Miguel Munoz, I have Charlie, and then I also have producer Kyle in the command center. Kylo Tren. You still doing Tren?
So why is cuts for the sluts so important?
Is that
Why is getting cuts for the sluts so important?
cuts for the sluts?
Yeah.
What is that?
Getting shredded.
Oh, getting shredded. Oh, cuts for the sluts. Okay.
Not goth girls.
It
That's
is.
a little different.
Goth Girls is different. Oh man, see, we're gonna have fun today. See, you come on my show
Right.
and you guys have fun. Look, we have our iconic. Let's see. See, this is your icon.
Yes.
No.
And then what about that one?
got the magic
hail
eight ball.
the magic conch.
Yes, and then you've got the 8-ball, which is
Magic
that's
8 ball's
mine.
been wildly accurate.
Has
Wildly
it?
accurate,
Yes.
This is a monkey's paw.
Oh, my-
This is very powerful and very dangerous.
Don't tempt fate. Don't tempt fate.
wait, hold on. Let's see how accurate.
Uh-oh,
this is.
shit.
There you go.
All right.
shit.
So before I came over here, I was watching like a bunch of.
Yeah.
I kind of brush up on your videos a little bit. Not that I don't like lurk in your chat all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
90% of the time, I'm just fucking around. But you said that Ethereum was going to go times 8
Oh, from the bottom. Yeah.
from the bottom.
Yeah, so it's like we hit about like a $780.
And then you said it's possible it could go to times 24.
yes, yeah. Kyle Ken
I don't know.
times 24.
I don't know how
800,
accurate
from
that is.
800.
Okay, so give me a rough ballpark.
So a
What do you
rough
think it'll
ballpark,
go?
like me and Charlie have been saying since like 23 that a rough estimate is Ethereum kind of on the lower end is probably going to like top out at $8,000.
Yeah.
$8,000.
$8,000
Okay.
from
low-
All right.
low end.
Low, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Magic 8-ball. Will Ethereum top out at $8,000? Let's see. My reply is yes.
There you
Okay.
go. Okay.
All right. All right.
Which is like, I mean, and it's unbelievably good because like last site, so like in 2021, we hit about like $4,800, $5,100. So going to 8,000 is really good because obviously it's a new all-time high, but it's a little lackluster compared to like
Yeah.
previous cycles because like we when I got into crypto, right, like Ethereum was maybe like $8
Mhm.
and then it shot up to $1,400 and then it crashed to
Mhm.
$80 and then it went to $5,000 and this time it went to $700 and then we go to 8,000 which
Right.
it should really like
Where's it at right now?
it's about 2,400.
24?
Yeah,
24, I
and,
thought so.
and Bitcoin so far this cycle, it started at 15,500. Right now, it's I think the peak was 112,000, so close to a 10x. So if Ethereum only hits like $800, it barely outpaces Bitcoin for the cycle as of what we've done now.
Yeah.
If Bitcoin gets to like 180 or 200 or something like that by the end of this year, beginning of next year, then Ethereum only hitting 8,000 will have underperformed Bitcoin. So there is a shot
Mhm.
that we see Ethereum. I would say the range would be 8 to 12K is pretty reasonable.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, like you said, this cycle, the tokenomics for Ethereum have kind of been moved around a little bit with the layer 2s trying to help alleviate fees.
Right.
That's also alleviated buy pressure and burn pressure on Ethereum. So that's kind of
Yeah.
made the token go more
It-
to a stable coin per se.
It's sort of like, I mean, this is the best. I mean, this is the best way to kind of explain it. Is like imagine that you have a really successful business. and you can't handle the customers. So you start giving a ton of your product over to your helpers. And then as soon as you do that, instead of like giving the profits back to you, right, what they end up doing is just start using the profits to buy more product to undercut you. And it causes this whole thing where then the whole system suffers because of the greed of the other players. And that's but Ethereum needed the help, but now it's kind of starting to scale a little bit. They're starting to kind of like get their shit together. And now like all these other kind of like, imagine I open all these stores in Las Vegas. I really only need 5, to facilitate all of Las Vegas, and I got 12 open.
Yeah, it's kind of like you made like an 8-lane highway for a 3,000 person town.
Right.
You're like, I don't really need that.
So
right
the pipe's
now.
too big.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now like we're gonna see a bit of a culling a little bit. We're probably gonna see the failure of some of these L2s, and an L2 is just something that's like it's built on top of Ethereum. Where an L1 is like I'm a direct competitor to Ethereum.
Right.
It's still maybe friendly.
Would you consider Solana a direct competitor?
Yes. Absolutely.
Now the other question was this, because I've been
shout out Trader Z.
I know. Well, I know, because I know Trader Z got me into Solana pretty heavy, and now it's weird because everything that's gone down with geopolitically as far as everything else that's been going on. I know that Solana has got themselves in a little bit of hot water for like coming down on the side of Israel or something like that, and it's like you got to be careful, like.
Right.
Yeah,
what you're mouthing off about especially
as
the founder.
Is saying some stupid shit.
Yeah.
Well, and that's where like what do you call it? That's good. Why?
I mean, I don't care what you which side you're on. It's just like it shows that you have to like be really diplomatic.
Well, it's money, right? When you're dealing with money, it's like kind of like politics, right? You want to be able to play both sides of the aisle and stuff like that. But in terms of within crypto, like I would say that's like a comment that I think people kind of be like, hopefully he doesn't like mention that again kind of thing.
Because I didn't even hear it until Trader Z retweeted it. I didn't even know.
I didn't know.
And I was shocked he did it too. I was like, wow, I had no. But Solana.
But I don't think that's going to hurt Solana's price.
No. But it is something to note a little bit because because
they're super centralized. So
it's one thing. It's one thing if it's like the founders of Solana saying it. It's another thing if it's like your favorite like altcoin.
Yeah.
And you're just basically committing suicide.
Yep.
Right.
100%.
Because the big thing that happened in the cycle was when Solana, like this cycle has mostly been carried off by like if a VC, which is a venture capitalist or a big hedge fund or something like that is essentially basically right now retail is kind of going broke right now because they just don't have money right now because of interest rates are so high and real estate's kind of just stuck right now.
And
so
rates having, or what do you call it?
Rates increasing?
No, I mean in terms of like what do you call it? What people are making, like people aren't keeping up with inflation either.
Yeah, so since like 2019, so basically the start of COVID to now, we've had a huge increase of cost of living. Yeah. And now recently in the last year or two, the prices haven't gone up much, but they went up so much that people's income haven't really caught up to it. So it's like this whole thing where like COVID happened, people got a lot of money, they saved up and stuff like that, or they got like PPP loans, or they got all the stimulus checks, and like businesses were going crazy. I mean, we just did Fresh and Fit recently. Fresh was one of the first persons to tell me, hey, the rental market, the luxury rental market is collapsing.
Yeah.
And it was like it was even ahead of like the real, like, Rolex has started going down. That was like the first thing over the bow over there in Miami where like, hey, it's starting to lighten up a little bit. Hey, the clubs are starting to not so full anymore. So,
right.
And it's all because the cost of living is so high that people like imagine that you have like $20,000 in savings and costs are going up, but you have savings. But after 2-3 years, that 20,000 is like down to 3,000, and now you're starting to get worried. And that's what's happening to people right now. And then that's the Federal Reserve is actually, that's what the Federal Reserve is very evil. Like they literally have said this is like one of their biggest priorities that like they had said, like, we don't like that Americans have so much savings right now. Because when we exited COVID, like anytime anything bad has happened, 9/11, savings goes up. People save because they're like, oh shit, I don't know what's going to happen to Y2K. And then, and then eventually the people relax and they start spending. The 2008 financial crisis with the housing crash, people's savings in 2009, 10, 11 actually were very high. People were saving money, and then eventually it relaxed. They started spending again. Yeah. And after COVID.
And then also because of what do you call it, money printing.
Correct. Yeah, the money printing and stuff like that, especially during COVID.
The one thing exactly. The one thing with the money printing that's really funny to watch with people is like how bad they are at keeping their savings, right? I think the government kind of relies on people like actually mismanaging their money over a few years. And then the rich people are like, okay, like you said, like kind of once these people are squeezed out of Miami, with their fancy cars and the over excessive lifestyle, that doesn't really make much sense for a lot of these people. Once the rich people start seeing those people kind of get squeezed out, they're like, okay, we're getting close to a bottom. I can go buy some real estate maybe in the next couple of years here and really scoop some up away from, the normie class. which is kind of a messed up way to think about it but from their perspective, as a bank's perspective, like that's really what they're doing. And right now with crypto, the interesting thing with the banks is like the Genius Act, which is a stable coin bill. So right now, all the money of traditional finance is like, okay, how can we control the stable coin market? Got Visa, MasterCard getting into it with PayPal and others. And that's their way of like kind of being like, okay, crypto can be useful for us, but it's not going to be a competitor because we're not going to let it be a competitor. We're going to let it be kind of like an exporter of the US dollar per se to other countries. And, but they're keeping up with the technology just as like, I mean, they were a technology once that was a disruptor as well. So like, it's kind of interesting to see all the stuff in crypto this cycle, like Miguel was saying, is happening at the venture capitalist, banking, corporation, government levels.
Sure.
And retail really, I mean, it's affecting the market. The crypto natives who have made money here are sticking around. We're pushing around the market in terms of like what's hot, what's not, but that's about it right now. It's really the elites.
Yeah, it's not 2022 anymore, is it?
No.
Yeah, because I was talking last time I was on. I was out in Miami in May.
Yeah.
And I did a couple of shows. I did one like solo show with Fresh.
Yeah.
And before we did that, we went out walking Hero and everything. So just shooting the shit. And he was saying just what I've been sort of like realizing is like, man, 2021, about the latter half of 2021 and all of 2022, man, those were the gravy years, man. That 18 months.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, because I was making money. I was making good money back then.
Even the beginning of 21 was incredible.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was just gravy train.
And I remember because there was a time, from 2021, let's see, every month I was in Miami except for like the holidays, like October, November, December. And even then they wanted me to come out. Right. And I did actually, like I went out in December of 2021. And then in 2022, I was there every single month right up until we decided we wanted to do something here in Vegas. Right. And
which was a very smart decision.
Yes. And don't worry, I know I promised you guys on Twitter we were going to talk about the Adam Sosnick PBD meltdown,
right.
and we will.
I've not seen it yet.
We're gonna do the abbreviated version of it because I really want to dig into it tomorrow because it's kind of pertinent to me and you, Miguel.
Right.
Because we have kind of a little bit of a history with ValueTainment and PBD, but and I don't think a lot of people really realize that. I also wanted to point out that we're finally here. Like we're finally got, and I always like to say this, but I got you guys here. We're here in Red One Studios finally.
Yep.
And you guys, I mean, it's kind of been a three-way partnership, more or less. Like, me and Kyle are building everything and putting stuff together, and I'm buying lenses and cameras and stuff. And you guys are picking up the audio and picking up the bills for every this. And we're out here putting this whole thing together.
We got between two.
But this has been,
which
I got at IKEA. All the plants in here are IKEA built. Yes. Thank you. Yes. And then we have when we do the shows for, Access Vegas. It took us a while. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because we're going into July, and July of last year is when we started really focusing on putting this. We got this table, we got everything else here, and so this whole studio and everything else is like, I don't know. It's kind of like a point of pride for me now because it took us 2 years to actually realize
finalize
this.
it and stuff.
And I don't think really people understand the story, but like you and I had when we were out in Miami, and it was the end of July. Of 2022.
Was that after the Avengers stream?
Yeah. Well, after that. And I had been working with Jedediah Bila and Adam Sosnick at ValueTainment, and I've been helping them push them past 100,000 subs on YouTube, and they got their plaques and everything else. And I thought, hey, maybe it's time for me to really consider moving to Florida. I'm glad I didn't in hindsight, but I was looking at places in Cape Coral. I was looking at places like Fort Lauderdale, and it's it's expensive, but back then it was the gravy years, right? So I'm like, maybe I could pull this off. Right?
And I had the same offer, except for I was going to move in with Waller.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, I'm not even lying. 21, 22, like Waller was telling me.
That was a different time.
Different time. Yeah. And Waller was able to like YouTube a little bit more back then and stuff like that. Right now, he's just focusing on his business, and he's doing really well with his not short-term rentals, but he's doing with his mobile homes. Genius, dude. He caught the wave so early on because people shit on Cardone a little bit. Cardone always focused on $1,200 to $1,500 reds.
Yeah.
Because they're just recession proof. People scoff at like mobile homes. People don't understand. Like I know, because obviously I had a son, and I met a bunch of nurses down there in Palo Alto at Stanford. A lot of them actually live out of RVs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there a lot of them
Yeah.
are traveling nurses or traveling doctors. They just
They,
get an
they
RV.
don't, they don't do property tax for those, do they?
No, you have to pay an RV park thing or something to park and stuff.
Might
Like
be cheaper that way too.
Oh yeah, no, it's way cheaper. Sure, it's expensive to start up. You get van life or whatever, right?
Mhm.
But the savings they're able to put away, because a professional couple, 2 nurses or a doctor and a nurse or something like that, they can put away like $200,000 a year. And then just travel around anywhere they want.
Especially in California. I mean, California's costs and taxes are freaking ridiculous. When I was coming back from Japan, I was thinking like, well, depending on where we ended up having the studio, if we're going to be in Florida or we're going to be in Nevada, I was like, well, 0% income tax on both. I'm ready for either.
Yeah, either way we go,
we
wherever
almost
we
did
end
Puerto
up.
Rico.
Yeah, Puerto Rico was a third option.
You
but,
almost convinced me to buy property in Puerto Rico too, man. I was like, oh, if you didn't have to spend like half a year there, I probably would have done it.
Yeah, you get a little bit of the the island, not sickness, but like you probably just get sick of
island time.
Well, yeah, I mean, and you're kind of like trapped there because you would have to be there for at least 6 months of the year. 6 months in a day.
In a day. Yeah. But the cool thing, it's like a 3-year contract where like I think you can still do it, but from what people have told me, the contract has like a stipulation where like every year that passes, the contract gets worse. So it's kind of like it's like in the beginning, it's incredible, and
they
then
want you to make money there and keep money there.
Yeah,
exactly. What they want you to do.
So, but basically, if you you can actually front load it. So as long as you rent a property, you have a property. Hey, I have an actual not a PO box, a real property that I'm renting in Puerto Rico. You can literally not be there for about 1 year, 4 months, and then you have to spend the last time. So you if something happened, they are flexible. Like if stuff happens, you're still moving, you're still doing stuff. You could actually spend a whole year still in Miami or in the stateside. But then at some point you'd have to I have to really spend a whole year here now just to make up time.
I don't know. I just wasn't in personally, I wasn't in a place where I could do something like that.
Yeah,
at that
it's
time.
a little bit far for most.
But I suppose,
places,
I mean, the older you get, and if you're ever going to retire or something, that might not be a bad.
Well,
a lot of people
weather's good.
say,
Humidity.
they're like, oh, it's humidity, it's
but I
dirty,
mean, that's kind of good
it's like,
when you're older.
Yeah,
like it's like healthy to have like all that moisture in the air and everything.
I think Miami probably be better just because it's even more like I've never this has never happened to me ever. Like I've traveled a lot to South America and stuff like Mexico and stuff. And I was down there in Puerto Rico, and it just flash rained for 1 second. When I tell you that we walked from here to the door, that's how far like my car was at the valet, right? I walked outside the door, got caught in water. When I tell you that I walked into my car and I was like,
oh my God.
I mean, soaked into my underwear. I mean,
Damn.
socks. I was there with my girlfriend, right? And they were just like, what happened?
Yeah.
I literally took my shirt off and was like, and I'm talking about like 15 seconds.
Yeah, just walking around. That's when I lived in Orlando from 2005 to 2013. That's when I was working. That's when I was working for Van Gogh Vodkas, and I was working in wine and spirits at that time. And I remember like going out and walking the dogs. You come back, and you just like take off your shirt and get another one because you just soaked to the bone. But no, I mean it was let's see, it would have been July of 2022. Yeah. And you and I went to go have dinner finally with because it took forever to do it. But with Patrick Bet David, and Adam Sosnick was there, and I was actually entertaining the idea of doing a show with Adam, like doing a joint show, kind of like what I do with Mike, and so I was there, and the deal was just pretty much like their standard deal, which was like, you move your happy ass out here on your dime, you can use our facilities to do your show and everything else. And that was about, and then they own all your stuff, and they own the name of it, and I'm like, man, I come too far and work too goddamn hard to be anybody's employee again. And I thought it was kind of fucked up because it's like, I mean, this guy's got more. He's like worth like $300 million, right?
He just sold his company.
Yeah, he just sold the insurance, the multi-level marketing. Remember that? It's a don't call it multi-level marketing.
In my opinion, that kind of shows a little bit of greed, right? Because like if they want you to play ball with them and they respect, like, hey, we want you to keep your IP and stuff like that, like they can incentivize it totally differently, right? They could incentivize it in a way and be like, okay, we're going to create this show and everything that comes out of here, we do revenue share or something, fair.
I don't think he knows the business of podcasting. I don't think I'm in better shape than that. Like I've been doing this way longer than he has. And then I thought about it, and we were on the drive back home, and I'm
Yeah.
like, fuck this, you know? And I was like,
It
I was
it
so
a
pissed off
360
because I
deal.
really wanted it to
Mm.
work too. I
Yeah.
was because I'd already put in
Yeah.
all this
Yeah.
effort to help Jedediah Bila get her show off the ground, and Adam Sosnick. And Adam Sosnick still kept going and took his show. I mean, he hasn't done it in 8 or 9 months now, but
Right.
like he took his show, his Saucecast show, converted it from a financial show or like a sort of this flailing money show,
Mhm.
and then he started like doing panel shows with girls and stuff like that. He
Like
started,
red light,
yeah,
like a red
that's
pill
when
light.
everybody
Yeah,
wanted
yeah.
to jump on the red pill bus, man, and they wanted to all like. That's when you get like.
Is that
I mean,
before
hell,
really
even the
started getting in trouble?
roommates wanted that. You know, even what Hafiz and those guys wanted to be
Right.
in the red pill space.
Well, and you
Abba
said,
and Preach wanted to be in it.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody saw what was the new hotness, and everybody
Mhm.
wanted to jump on board. And then now, of course, you know, once we got into the election cycle, it's like, oh, we never knew you. Let's
Right.
we don't know who these guys are.
it's like, and you called that peak too. I think like,
Oh, yeah.
what do you call it? Early 23 or late 22. You
Yeah.
were like, this is the peak
Yeah,
right now.
you will
of
never
other people's
recognize
interest.
the red pill. Like
Yeah.
I remember that it was like 2022, and I said by August of 2023, you won't recognize the manosphere. And I hate to be right, but I was right.
But then they all go away. It's like a year of clout
Yeah, and they'll
chasing,
come back.
and then
They'll come back.
Yeah.
They'll come back. Probably 2026.
Right.
That dinner was so interesting with PBD because it was sort of like I was your A&R or I was representing your band.
Yeah.
We go in and we've been like talking. We've been like, oh, dude, this label's so
And
awesome.
negotiating
And then
and shit.
yeah, and then I'm just like, okay, we're gonna own your masters. We're gonna own your publishing. It's gonna be a 360 deal. There's no money up front,
right.
and I want you to build us up.
Yeah, exactly.
What?
Yeah, I know.
And then he's like, but you can use our warehouse.
Yeah,
Which is empty.
Yes, yeah.
Except for the giant
you can
Joker
record
in
in
the
our
middle. There's a giant
recording
Joker.
studio. Yeah, that was about it. And man, I was so pissed too because I'd done so much for his other brands. Like
Right.
the only 2 shows he had at that time on ValueTainment was Jedediah Bila and Adam Sosnick.
Sosnick.
And we talked about this before the show. I'm gonna bring this up. I will bring it up right now. I remember he did this video, and it was in 2022 about all the shit that they were going to be doing, all the stuff. Value here's where we're going. We're going to have a comedy show. We're going to start working on movies. We're going to get
A theater.
a theater. We're
theater,
going to have
yeah.
we're going to have live shows and all. He has done them, but like it's just PBD. It's not in anything
Right.
else. Like, and that's why I was
Well,
saying
he's
he
got-
doesn't know how to do podcasts
Yeah.
because he only knows how to do PBD.
Mm.
He only knows how to do himself. And so like his shows, he's still doing it in the vault. He's not even doing it in his new studio. He still does all of his shows in the vault.
Right.
And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking like he just doesn't know what he's doing. It's like a side hustle for him.
Right.
Because he is his own brand. And so he goes and he does his conventions and he does his his talks and he interviews Charles Barkley and all these other, like Tom Brady and all these guys that he knows.
Most of the stuff he talks about now is political, and I'm like, all the stuff he used to talk about building businesses and everything was
Right.
really interesting. But
Except the Shah of Iran.
Yeah.
well, like
Yeah.
he is Iranian, right?
I mean,
I
he's-
know, but it's
I
funny.
mean, he
Like
got-
every like other episode, because I tune in for some special episodes.
Mm.
Like there's kind of like I have a drinking game. How many times he'll mention the Shah of Iran?
Oh, really?
Or like how good things were in Iran in the 70s and stuff.
Well, see, I didn't even watch his content in so long because it all went political, right?
Right.
And I was just like, the business stuff was really like,
I remember
really
when he
good
was
content.
like, see, I didn't even become aware of him until he interviewed Jordan Peterson.
mm,
Right. And so he
Right.
brought Jordan Peterson in there, and that kind of like raised my attention a little bit. And then the only reason, because I went on the show too, like I was on PBD's show. That was how I met Adam Sosnick.
Mm.
And so I went on there, because he knows Robert Kiyosaki. So
Right,
that
right.
was my end to get to there. And then I started working with Adam, and then Jedediah Bila came on, and so she and I really hit it off. I still work with Jedediah right now. But Jedediah took the deal.
Right.
We didn't take the deal.
She
Jedediah
she
Bila
took
took the deal. And consequently, they own the name, they own the content and everything else. And she had to start over from scratch, which, by the way, to her credit, she's doing really well now. So she's everywhere now.
Because she had like sabbatical in like
she
like,
did.
like,
It was
New York,
she
right?
had some health issues that she was moving around. She's just deciding what she wanted to do with her
Right.
life. And then, quite honestly, she's never going to say this, but like honestly, I think she signed an NDA or some kind of arrangement, and her contract wasn't up when she left, and so she kind
Oh.
of had to wait for it to come out before she restarted her career
Right.
again. And now she's in tech. I don't know where in Texas, but she's in Texas doing her show. She's been on Access Vegas. I've
Yeah.
been on her show. She's been on mine. And so I'm glad that she's back again because I really enjoyed my time like helping her get off the ground when back in the day, right? Same thing with Adam Sosnick. I like Adam very much. Like people thought I for a while there, people thought I had some sort of beef with Adam. I didn't have a beef with Adam. I had a beef with who he was married to, which is Patrick Bet-David and ValueTainment, because they're holding him back, man. One of the things I told you on that drive back from the restaurant was like, I'm a bigger deal. I'm a bigger name in my niche. Not in PBD's niche,
right.
But in my niche, I'm a bigger name than PBD is.
Oh yeah.
And so when I realized that, I'm like, I'm not taking this deal. And then so I was all pissed off, and you're like, why don't we do it in Vegas?
Well,
and the rest is history. Yeah. And here we are.
It's kind of a two-part talk. It was there. That's when we finalized it, but it was like it was right after we did the. I think Thor was there too. Actually, our recipe store. But we did the Avenger, the first. I think we did like an Avenger stream, and then we did like a financial Avenger stream and stuff.
Yeah, I remember you were on that one.
Yeah,
one with Robert Kiyosaki, George Gammon,
Yep.
Ken McElroy. Who else was on there? Justin Waller was on there as well, and you were on there.
Were you in?
I was in Japan at the time.
You were still in Japan.
Yeah, the next year I think we did a second.
Yeah, because we hadn't even made the decision. I think that was
when we started talking.
Right when we started talking about doing this, and then we came down. I'm like, why not? I was in Reno. We come down here and we started looking, and that's when Justin Waller introduced me to Mike, and we just hit it off immediately. And like, you want to do a podcast? Hell yeah, I do. Let's do it. And so that was really the beginning of Access Vegas. We started doing it at Sticky Paws, and now we finally have this place here. And I will tell you right now, and this is what I wanted to say, was remember that video where he was promising the world, like, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. You and I and you have done more in that time since that than Patrick Bet-David has done. Like putting this place together, getting the talent that we have in here, and
the show, the amount of people moving here to Vegas is crazy.
Oh man, yeah, we were right place, right time. Yeah, now everybody wants to be. Hodge twins are here now. Yeah. I think CGA is here now too. Isn't he in Vegas?
He might be.
I think he's in Vegas.
Coach Craig Adams.
Yeah,
he's here in Vegas.
Yeah, but like people want to. Sean Kelly, which by the way, I just did my second interview with Sean Kelly.
We're about to do our first.
Yeah. Sean Kelly's great, man. He's fun, man. I'd say the thing about Sean Kelly is like, he'll get like red pill guys on there who are just like very rational, very smart individuals, really good money guys, really good social issue guys, and then he'll get like the chick that channels like angels.
I saw that.
Yeah, or like the moon landing was fake, or like we live on a flat Earth. And he'll have like real whack jobs. He will interview anybody. That's why I like Sean.
That's fun though. Yeah,
and he's like so much taller than you think he is.
Oh yeah, he's like massive. He could play
like 6'7" or something,
power
right?
forward, man. He's like almost 7 feet tall. That dude is like way tall. I've noticed that about guys in the red pill in the manosphere space. Like the more successful guys tend to be like 6 foot and above.
That'd been so funny. You just had the 5'4".
I know. Here I'm like 5'11", and people are like, oh man, see, I knew Rolo was only 5'6". I'm like, no, I'm just standing next to giants, man. There's one picture of me in between George Gammon and Robert Kiyosaki, and both of these guys, like George Gammon's like 6'4".
Yeah, he's tall.
And Kiyosaki's probably like 6'2", and I'm 5'11". I get in between these guys out like a munchkin.
One of my favorite stories from George Gammon actually is because we've met him a bunch of times, done some interviews with him, and it was just to get his perspective as he's a single guy living in Medellin or living in Colombia, and like one time he's like, "Hey Miguel, would you sit down with me over here on the couch right here? I want to see the after hour show." Because I want us to remember why I left America. So I'm sitting right next to him. We're on this, when Fresh and Head, those little uncomfortable ass couches. Yeah, so we're just like sitting like this. Gammon's legs are up here. Because how tall he is, and we're sitting down, and he's like, "It's just amazing." He was like a guy at the zoo.
Oh my
god! He was just like, I know. Isn't this crazy? How like this is how it is.
What's funny with Gammon is like, and I learned because I used to go. He hasn't hit me up in a while, but I was doing his collective stuff, and I would go do like talks and stuff. At his event, like a Rebel Capitalist. And one thing I noticed was like, because he always wears like a sports jacket, and he's got a t-shirt on, and he's got jeans, right, and that's it. I noticed like there's like younger guys that are dressing like George Gammon, like he's like setting like his trendsetter or something like that. I was like, that almost creeped me out a little bit, But
a lot of people see the whiteboard thing too.
Yeah, and the whiteboard stuff. I also want to say like we've had some pretty good people come into this room here that we're
Oh, yeah.
almost a year old now. We've been doing interviews. Like I think this is like the first time we've done this in this.
Yeah.
Usually you
We're-
guys are like elsewhere.
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
moving
California,
around,
Vegas.
Yeah, so we all happen to be in Vegas at the same time. That's why we wanted to do this today. But no, just recently, Mike Sartain had. Remember how long it took us to get Mike Sartain to come on board with the sound? He's like, everything has to be tits and ass perfect for the sound and everything like that.
Yeah.
We finally got all the sound rigging in here and everything to the point where we could actually do the show, and it's not quite so echoey. Although I think we still should put in a little bit more acoustic. But I mean, we're not. I can still see this place being a little bit more than it is. We've got the other.
Yeah.
We have the second studio over here that me and Jake need to really
got
clean
kind
up
of
and
like
get going.
when we got this place, right? Like we'd had like a few floors up
Yeah.
at the other place, and that was good. Like it was okay, but it wasn't quite what we wanted,
Yeah.
right? But then here we got a lot more space. We kind of can like make more of like an atmosphere, especially for like when
people don't
guests come
realize
in.
we have the other studio that's
Yeah,
right
there's like a
over
whole
here.
room back
Yeah, we
there.
got
The
two. We have
Bat
two
Cave. We have the
studios.
Bat Cave
Yeah, the
in there.
Bat Cave. Yeah. But so, anyways, Mike's over here and he's interviewing Dr. Orion Taraban, and Taraban lifts my material quite liberally. Let's just
really?
say. And I'm going to be as diplomatic as I can right now because like every time like
Dipset.
guys, all you have to just say what you mean. But no, it's like whenever Taraban is on with Mike or he's just in general, like people in the comments go, oh, you know, Rolo's so petty. This like, dude, he's in this studio at this table that we built, like using these mics that we installed, those trees that I got from IKEA, with these lenses and everything else here. And like, I think what gets me is, and I have to sort of like take this with a grain of salt myself, but it's like, people don't know the backstory of all this, all the stuff that's in here right now. Like, I mean, hell, we're using the kitchen for the sound studio right now. People don't realize that. They don't see what goes on behind the scenes here, right?
They don't see me cooking.
Yeah. And then we've been struggling with these, like a daylight show like this.
Yeah,
like, do we put up blinders? Night's fantastic.
Yeah.
Daylight, we're still learning right now.
But let me say something. So behind the two windows right behind me and Charlie is where they're going to build one of the new stadiums.
Yeah, the
NBA stadium and stuff like, which supposedly, I don't know if this is true or not.
Well, that's if the Rio decides to sell.
Correct.
Because like the Rio is starting to make a comeback, actually.
Yeah, and this is the whole thing about the YouTubing. This is actually something. So we're going to tell for the first time on your channel ever. Me and Charlie have been for the last 2 years, maybe 1 year and a half. We've been working on actually making a Vegas gambling channel. Yeah, actually, yes. We we play blackjack all the time. We play a lot of craps.
Craps is our game.
So
that's the only thing that all three of us play is craps.
It's craps. Right?
Craps is a great game.
Yeah, I want us to play more craps. We don't do it very often.
We need to.
And the Drake roll out after.
Well, I've already said my theory on why we all like craps and crypto because there's a lot of similar dynamics.
Yeah, I would say the
crypto than
exactly bankroll portfolio management almost the same.
Positioning stuff around and then waiting for the runs and stuff like that.
And then being aggressive on.
And I realize that's a logical fallacy. There's no such thing as runs.
Yep.
I'm not saying there's not runs, but there are runs. But there are runs. There are runs.
There are definitely runs.
There could be.
There's only a 4% hold from the casino. Oh, yeah, 4%.
At the risk of me sounding like Gary the Numbers guy, there kind of are runs sometimes.
Charlie went on these fucking
play long enough.
When we first came to Vegas, man, me and Charlie were going on these before we knew how.
Dude, we didn't know shit. Like it was like when we didn't know anything about craps. For some reason, the casinos was just like, oh, these guys aren't betting enough, and they just let us go on these crazy runs. I mean, they let us
40-minute, 1 hour, 20-minute run. Charlie did the longest run at the Bellagio in like 2024.
2023.
Oh, 2023. Yeah. They literally the pit boss came
an
up
hour
to us.
and a half.
Yeah.
They counted.
They came up to us. He's like, that was the longest run we've had at the Bellagio this entire year.
And I think we each made like $1,000.
No, way more than that.
It was like a couple of thousand. I was just like,
$3,000 or
I was
something.
kind of pissed. I was like, damn, we should have bet way more.
We should have made it. It's just we weren't power pressing and we weren't.
It was like my first, what do you call it, 6 months playing craps in Vegas and stuff like that. So it was just like,
But that whole thing about like, oh, I've never gambled before. Beginner's luck is real. I've seen girls like, how do I do this?
Especially for women. Especially for women.
And even too, like, I'll say this, like, women are luckier even at like if I ever choose between a female like chick on the roulette table versus a guy, the girls are more consistent than the guys.
Dude, you want to know a funny story? My daughter, when she hit 21 years old, we took her up to Lake Tahoe. Okay, my wife and I, and we went to then it was called the Hard Rock casino, right? Resort. And so now she can get her first legal drink.
Right.
And so we're there, and my wife gives her $20 because you can use this on any of the slot machines you want to.
Oh, cool.
She walked out of there with $2,000.
Oh, wow. Damn.
Yes, because she got all those whatever the combinations
There
was
it
on
started.
what it was. Yes, walked out of there. So yeah, beginner's luck. Yeah,
It's so
I
true.
was a believer after that. I'll tell you that. Like,
definitely.
and she kept the $20, so she got 2020.
I
Don't you
remember-
think you should
yeah.
give your mom that $20? Like, no, that's my
Give it
fucking
all.
money.
I remember my dad, like, so like we went to the casino. So I mean, my parents always went to the casino, but nothing crazy. We just, like play slots or something, right?
Mhm.
And I remember being like 12 years old, going to the casino, and they would just dress. They're like, okay, you want to play, Miguel? Fine, but we need to dress you up somehow so they think you're older. So like they started dressing me up in denim or something, and like in a big old baseball hat and this and that. And then there I am at 12 years old, like fucking like hitting stuff, and we like it was like so many close calls where like, back then 12. I mean, this is the one law in Vegas that everybody is complaining about is that so in the 1970s they put in the W-2 law, which is basically at $1,200 you hit a jackpot, you have to pay taxes, and in 1970 $1,200 is something like. I know, like I don't like so me and Charlie are in
Like
crypto.
5 to 10K, probably.
It's 5 to 10K, but like they'll say it's roughly like, oh, it's $3,000 or $4,000 in today's money. That's a lie.
Bullshit,
Because the metrics that they judge, like, oh my god, inflation was 2%, 3%. That's a lie.
They base it on what the government says, not what actual stats from the real world say.
Right. So cost of living. So there's this whole thing where like there's like how to survive. Like they're like eggs, the price of gasoline, the price of eggs and milk. And certain things, right? Excluding housing, right? A lot of the commodities that they track for the actual increase of like actual inflation are extremely manipulated, and this is why they're able to crash the price. Obviously, chickens lay a lot of eggs, so like egg prices are for fucking $15 a dozen. Wow, now they're back down to $3. Okay, right? So we're like, there's certain things like, but here's the problem: is that people in life want things that are scarce. Right. I want a house. I want a certain level of education. I want to live in a certain neighborhood. I want this type of really expensive car. Or like, so the thing people, or like, I want to be able to like have a girlfriend that, living girlfriend, or like, I like to be able to have an income where like I can have my wife stay at home, or like, there's like, the things people really, really want in life are striving for just keep going up in value. I want a Rolex, I want a Rolls Royce.
Even college is become the biggest scam. It's like it was worth it back in the day, right? It was like the amount that you would get beneficial to your career from it, even for stuff that's like English majors and stuff like that. Back in the day, that was worth it because it actually used to mean something.
Right.
It was scarce.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. That's
And
funny.
These days, not anymore.
That's actually how this meltdown got started between PBD and Adam Sosnick, because Adam Sosnick was talking about like how, because Adam's like 45 now,
right?
And he wants to get married. He wants to have a family. He wants to start, like doing, because he was married before, and then like 10 years ago.
Got it.
And then got divorced and everything. And like now I think he's starting to look into like something that's a little more long term. And he's just like, you can't find women who want to settle down. You can't find like, just like you're saying before, it's like finding something that's valuable, what's valuable today, right? And then he was just basically saying, most women are either on OnlyFans or they're mercenary, and the thing is like the whole.
But Adam is at a certain level, though.
Adam is definitely at a certain.
Too.
Well, that's funny because exactly, and that's what PBD was saying. But like then on top of that, like Adam, I could show you the first part of the video here in a second, but.
Sosnick should go to Nashville or something.
Well, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is that if that's what you want, you go fish where the fish are, right? But like, and that's kind of like what PBD's point was. But the thing is PBD's been married for like 15 some odd years, right? And then was dating his wife like 5 years before that. So they've been together for like almost
in the army,
20.
right? Or like they were
something like that. Or he was just coming out of it, I think.
Yeah.
And then Adam's like, where was OnlyFans 20 years ago? Nowhere. Where was social media 20 years ago? Nowhere. And so like the landscape's changed, and he wasn't wrong. But
I get both sides. I get both sides.
Yeah,
a little bit,
but like
but
also like just the economic side of it too is like he says all these women want to, they say they want to get married and everything, but they don't want to be wives. They still want to run OnlyFans. They said he's like finding a woman who wants to like have kids and prioritizes family and children and stuff like that. is next to impossible to find. And then of course he was saying, well, you're just looking in the wrong places, blah, blah, blah. And go to Nashville or something.
Well, yeah, but still, like, what do you call it? The quantity versus quality is way skewed still, even there.
Yeah.
And then like it's like what I always say, it's not about like who you settle down with, it's who you want to settle down with. Right. And so like whenever I get into it with these guys about like there's a concept called assortative mating, like, oh, you usually get with people who are as good looking as you in the same socioeconomic class as you. And like, yeah, prior to social media, prior to the global sexual marketplace, I'm sure that was the case because people would never get outside of their local sexual marketplace.
Right? Yeah.
But now, and I always bring this up, is like, do you guys remember that one time? I think it was Destiny and Fresh were on Fresh and Fit, and Destiny says, what percentage of like women in college do you actually think get flew out to go sit with
Dubai,
Drake on a yacht party in Biscayne Bay, right? And Fresh is like, 30%. I'm like, oh, dude, no. And so that made him sound really stupid and laughable. But the problem is they're not saying the point. The point is that when all it takes is one girl to get flown out, and then all the girls that are on social media that see this one girl get flown out, that changes the mind of all those girls. The perception of that is, I'm hotter than this fat bitch. I could go out. Drake would ask me out if I was just, a little bit luckier or something like that. So what happens is the global sexual marketplace, which is one girl getting flew out to a yacht party somewhere, that becomes the benchmark. That becomes the metric by which all of the perception metric by which all these other girls look at that and they go, that could be me.
Right. Well,
so I don't want to get with these broke ass motherfuckers in my local sexual marketplace. I'm going to hold out for Drake. I'm going to hold out for this NBA star. I'm going to hold out for this rapper to wife me up. Yeah. And it's the mentality at that point, and that's the part that PBD doesn't understand. Is it's the perception part of that whole thing.
Yeah, I mean the problem is when you got girls like Lizzo being like held up as icons, and you're just like, Jesus Christ, like, okay, all women just become lazy and like, it's like,
well, because like the whole thing about like assortative mating and everything, like, that was probably the case prior to the 21st century, prior to Facebook and OnlyFans and everything else. Yeah. And now we live in an era of a global sexual marketplace. And that's what another thing I keep trying to say is like, global not only global cat, but see, the thing is, when you talk about globalization, it's not just economics.
No, it's everything.
It's not just politics. It's also the sexual marketplace, sexuality and the relationships and dating and everything. That's a marketplace, and it's subject to
that word. I mean, the globalized
global sexual. I should, because everybody's ripped me off of it for so long now. But the global sexual marketplace versus a localized sexual marketplace, because that I know, because I went back in the day, I came from a local sexual marketplace. You had to go out into the clubs or go cruise for chicks or, drive down Main Street or whatever. You were limited to who you went to high school with or who you were in college with or who you knew, like you met at a party or something like that. Circle. It wasn't there. And Adam's right. There wasn't no OnlyFans. There was no social media. There was no global sexual marketplace when PBD was getting together with his wife at that time. And so he's completely he's clueless as to what Adam Sosnick at 45 has to deal with.
Yeah, because ignorance is bliss in that case.
Because Adam's Adam's successful. He's a really interesting guy, funny, good looking guy, right? Mm-hmm. But he's at a really interesting kind of point in his life because he is sort of like an older millennial. He is an older millennial, right? Uh-huh. Where he grew up in the old world. Very analog, right? Like, I mean, I grew up the same thing with Charlie and shit. Like, I grew up on the playground, no phones, middle school. I mean, I remember
tail end of that.
Yeah, I remember literally the first girl getting a cell phone sometime in my middle school year. Mm-hmm. And I literally said this on my show so many times, is I remember all the guys started getting cell phones because this really cute girl at my school got a cell phone. She's like, oh, you guys don't have a cell phone? I'll text you guys. Because everyone's just trying to text. Because people, get a phone, you're just trying to text somebody. So then I literally, within 2 weeks, I remember all these guys and girls starting to get cell phones just to text each other. And that's how it all propagated from there and stuff like that. And then, even then, it was just like text. It's nothing.
And that was the same thing with social media. I mean, Facebook, right? Like, came out my first year of college. I'm like, I looked at it like in August or September of, that was 2004. I was just like, what is this bullshit? This looks fucking stupid as hell. It's gay as hell, right? 2 months later, I was at a party. All these girls are like, people aren't asking for their numbers. They're asking for your Facebook. And I'm like, this fucking easy? All right, like sign me up.
Right.
You
Well,
know,
you
but
know,
it's the same thing.
I watched this this advertise. I forget. I don't know who the guy was. He's one of these like marketing guru hustler guys. And I just saw this on Instagram not too long ago. But the guy was giving like a whiteboard talk,
Yeah.
and he was saying, "Did you know that in what was the year that Apple sold the highest volume of iPhones? What year?
2017.
No,
I would have guessed 2015 or 14.
no, 2008.
Oh, right at the very beginning.
Right in the middle of the economic downturn, right in
Right.
the middle of that recession.
So that's when they first came out, right?
That's when they first came out.
Right.
Yeah. And that was no longer Blackberries anymore. This
Yeah, yeah,
Nokia
yeah.
bullshit where you had like you had a little keyboard on your thing. And
Palm Pilot.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the Nokia
And they
brick
have-
was the first one
And
that
they
I
have
got.
never
Yeah.
and they have never sold more than that 1 year.
Wow.
That is like the banner year for and it's like when they first, I think it's like when they first came out or maybe a year after they
Yeah,
first
well,
came out.
They did kill a lot of companies because like around 2011 to 2013, I was doing recruitment for tech companies in Tokyo.
Uh-huh.
Sony was the last one that kept their mobile phone business. I think they still have it because I hired a guy for there. He's still working there.
Mhm.
But they like, I think it was like NEC, Sharp, all these different companies, you know, they were trying the mobile phone business. They were actually the kings of the mobile phone business back when like it was flip phones because, you know, they connected to the internet, they connected to TV and
Right.
everything.
Yes,
Right.
But they just within like 5 years from 2008 to 2013, that the whole industry just got swept by Apple.
Yeah, because you could do so much more. It was like having a handheld computer at that time.
Yeah.
I remember the Palm Pilots. You guys remember
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the
yeah,
Palm
yeah,
thing
yeah.
with a little
The
stylus and
Blackberries,
stuff like
yeah.
that? Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was the shit. Monochrome screen and everything. Yeah.
LG chocolate.
And then now I'm
Yeah,
dating
yeah.
myself.
We
Yeah.
could go as
Oh,
far.
H2O,
Yes.
yeah.
We could go as far
Yes.
back as pagers. You know, when pagers used
Oh
to be
my
the thing back in
God.
the mid 90s.
My dad had a
Oh.
pager back in the day, and I was like, "What the hell?" is
Doctors
this?
still have used pagers too. That's crazy.
Yeah, they still do today.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. No, I was gonna say because like in 2008, that's when, and he was trying to make the case that like people buy what they want, not what they need, right?
Mm.
Because it's in the middle of an economic downturn, right?
Right.
And you know they're bailing out the banks and all the
Yeah.
what is it, UBS or whoever was the
The big
The
one that
bank.
went down. IG.
yeah
IG,
yeah. And so, and while I think that
Agree.
that's probably true, like people buy what they want rather than exactly what they, but maybe they needed it too, right?
Right.
But
It was more
also,
efficient.
but the thing is you could text and you could get online and you could play games. There's so much more that you could do with this thing than you could with your BlackBerry or whatever else that you had at that time. And so it's not just about like buying what you want. It's also like, oh, I can participate in social media now because remember
Utility,
Facebook
right.
came out in 2006, right?
Yeah.
And so and when did Twitter take off? Twitter was like
Twitter
2009.
I thought that was a little earlier than Facebook.
Might
to be
have been.
honest, because Facebook was 2004, and then Twitter probably came out like the early 2000s.
YouTube didn't even get bought out by like Google until like the
08?
08 or
Yeah,
09.
and it
Yeah.
really took off between 2010 2015 with like Joe Rogan and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so like but you could use it for so much more, right? And also participate in what? The global sexual marketplace,
Marketplace.
because you were just saying that the girl had this phone that you could text, and it's like, oh, I could text. Like now you want to be up with the technology
So
that the girl you want to fuck,
Right.
The only
and
the
you
only-
want to have the same shit so you can text her.
the only other time that I, as a kid, realized like there was like this
That and you can download porn to
You
it.
can download, sir.
I was going to say, so the real question actually is,
Yes.
how is AI going to get you more tail?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the real question.
Well, they're
today.
already working on it. It's
Well,
already
the
working on it.
adult film convention. What's it called? The
AVNs.
AVN is probably
Mm-hmm.
one great. I mean, besides like looking at eye candy or whatever. But
Mhm.
like, the porn industry is always
We
ahead of
went
the
to
curve.
that together.
Yeah. Was it 2 years ago?
2 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's always really interesting. You were getting recognized by so many porn
Yeah.
stars.
I had so many porns. Oh God, I know. I almost feel. I'm gonna blush. Yeah.
The porn stars were getting
There's a
in line
lot.
to
Hey,
talk
I
to
know you. And then there's guys that, hey, it's Rolo. I'm like,
But the only other time I remember,
we
like,
just went to Expo. We didn't
Yeah.
go anywhere else.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
just at the Expo.
they gave you a booth and shit.
Yes, that's funny.
But the only other time that I remember, like sexualized, weaponized energy, like sort of like a technology, right?
Mhm.
Was the only other time I remember is when yoga pants started going crazy in my
Yeah.
high school. I remember this one girl, the flattest girl I've ever seen in my life. You know,
Uh-huh.
recipe. I don't know if she's live still, but like she put some yoga pants on, and like it was like a fucking nuke went off in my school because within 1 month, half the chicks were wearing yoga pants. Like it was just this whole thing where like this chick starts getting interested, and guys are starting to talk to her because she's like sexualizing herself, and like fucking hyenas. They all I just remember they were all wearing these horrible, almost bell bottom ass pants, damn near, in Monterey High School. And then I blink, and everybody and their mom is wearing a thong and a fucking
and literally their moms. Yeah.
Their mom, and the moms came, and begrudgingly too, because it was kind of this whole thing where like it was like this whole sweat sort of like Uggs era, and then it went off into like athleisure. Now athleisure kind of runs the game.
Lululemon.
Lululemon and stuff like that.
Now they're charging $100 for these things.
Yeah. And it wasn't Lulu. I forgot what brand. I think it was Lululemon that says, "Yeah. We don't make fat bitches sizes."
That was him.
Yeah.
We only catered to thin, in shape women.
I mean, you know why they call it Lululemon, right?
What?
Because he doesn't like Asian people to spell his name. So L is like the hardest.
Oh, so you're a Ruru
Yeah.
I'm
not even kidding you. That's weird.
Yeah, because I think Charlie told me about that in Japan. That like they try to use some American words or something because it's like it makes the company look unique. Or like they use certain words where like you have to like say it in American almost, or like.
Yeah, I mean, they they adopt the same words.
Yeah, see, this guy's saying that they sold the most iPhones in 2021. Maybe, I don't know. Or actually, it was 2023. Well, anyways, up to that point, the guy was trying to make a point that like people will buy shit when they, even in an economic.
One little funny little like fun fact about 2008 was like so.
See, what's funny is like only in 2005 can you go to Perplexity and get that information just like that, whereas like prior to that, nobody even would think about it.
So when 2008 happened, right? This is really interesting. So the whole market crashed, right? Real estate crashed, and like stock market was going down. I mean, there wasn't no crypto market at the time. The one market that didn't collapse was auto sales, because basically people was like, okay, I can live in my car, or I need a car to get to my job and stuff like that. I can lose the house. So one of the only markets that didn't collapse was actually auto sales. So because people kept paying the payment on their cars.
Yeah,
and that's changed now with a lot of cars being like overproduced. And
overproduced. Now it's a different sort of animal. Now people are like willing, like it's sort of extended on car sales now. So especially on like, I mean, like you saw the whole blow up between like Elon Musk and Trump and stuff. A part of that was, I mean, he said it wasn't, but like one of the big blow ups was like they're going to take away by 2028 a $7,500 like tax credit on their car. So if you imagine I'm selling a $40,000 car now, it's 30 in the lower like $33,000.
The same amount.
It's a big rebate and stuff. And then there's also all these other tax incentives for electric cars. Now that's just going to be like, all right, you have a car company. Now you got to compete with like no extra, help.
Which is why it's coming out with the robo taxi.
Dodge has an electric charger now, don't they? Or a Challenger?
Oh yeah, it failed. It failed immensely. Like they're bringing back the V8 now.
Blasphemy.
I saw that. Yeah, I know. And somebody told me like Camaros were going out of production, and then suddenly they brought them back. Yeah.
It's just like
public outroar.
Yeah, like Dodge makes so much money off of the 5.7 Hemi because like the one of the most expensive things when you make a brand new engine is the tooling in the factory. So once they paid off all that tooling off, it is just a fucking money printer. It's just a money print.
Yeah. They never changed up that the push rod engine, the 5.7 and the 6.4. They hardly ever updated.
I'm so if you guys don't know, I have the Camaro. You know, I have that.
You send me memes all the time.
All right, I know. I fuck with you. I fuck with you quite a bit. Yes. I also have the 300, which is a Hemi 300C, and it's like 2005. So it's technically this year. It's a classic car because it's 20 years old. So.
Wow.
But the problem is I don't have a parking place for it. So I rent a slip, and it costs $240. This is Vegas, by the way. $240 a month. It's like a car payment to keep this car, and I love it. Don't get me wrong. And so I'm like, okay, I got to get rid of one of these cars. Which one am I going to get rid of? And I'm like, I don't know if I want to. I would kill me to get rid of the Camaro.
Right.
But I got to say that Hemi engine, the was it 5.7? 5.7 Hemi is that thing hauls ass. So if I did, I would upgun it a little bit.
Like what happens is like usually, I mean, I've always had trucks, right? So like being in Vegas without a truck it just feels, because you have to move stuff sometimes. It's so you never think of like needing like storage spaces or like parking spaces until you actually need it and stuff like that's actually something I'm looking for a new place to live right now, and I'm looking for somewhere that has like I can.
I'm in Rhodes Ranch, and
Yeah.
I have a 2-car garage, and then
Yeah.
I have 2 spaces in my parking, and you cannot park on the street because they will
Really?
give you they are mercenary about giving you tickets if you park overnight on
Oh
the
wow.
thing. And and I've got 5 cars, so I've got my wife's car. I've got the
Wait, you say 5 cars?
I have 5 cars because my mother-in-law lives with us as well,
Oh, okay,
right? So
okay.
she's got her car. I've got my Tacoma. I got the Camaro that's in there,
Mhm.
and then my wife's 4Runner. That's why I have to have the slip for the 300.
Yeah.
Mm.
So either I gotta sell something at some point because it's just like,
Hey,
what am I doing?
Sell it
you
this
know?
week, buy Plamos token.
Either,
deal with that.
either that or I got to put out another book so I can afford that slip. Buy my book so I can afford my 300. Yeah.
So I mean, do you want to show us the video that you were talking
No,
about?
it's okay. I'm gonna get into that tomorrow. I got a lot of questions here for.
Sure.
So people are asking. First thing we want to say is Hex worth getting into.
Yeah,
Still worth
it
getting into.
still is. I think there's going to be one like with the way things are working out right now. Like they're doing. So Richard effectively is doing like a huge. He beat the SEC here in the stateside, but
That's something still a lot of people in crypto aren't fully aware of. They're like, oh, because Trump got elected, Richard Hart got what do you call it, his case dropped from the SEC. It's like, no. He actually is the only person in the entire cryptocurrency space that actually
Defeated.
beat the SEC hands down. I think it's July 6th.
Yeah.
The SEC has no more ability to basically bring the case back at all.
Mhm.
And so Pulse Chain, Hex, and PulseX are the only tokens
Mhm.
or the only chains actually that are fully approved by the SEC in addition to like Telegram phone token.
Ton token. Yeah.
Like even Ripple, they got their case. They were trying to get it thrown out. And what do you call it? They said, no, we're going to keep that around for a little bit longer.
Yeah, it's just because they were bringing up like really stupid things. I mean, it was so bad that like the judge literally stopped kind of mid case and was like, "Are you guys serious?
Mm.
Like this is the most stupidest thing I've ever read." Like it was just so
From the SEC.
From the SEC, yeah. I mean, the SEC just was scrambling and basically they had no case and they got thrown out. Now, the only other thing that lurks on the ecosystem is that there was a red notice from Interpol and stuff down there in Europe.
It doesn't look great, but it's a political tool.
It's a political tool, and I started because I always saw Interpol. I thought Interpol was just like more like a UK sort of a Europe thing, and then I started researching into it. No, basically, it's kind of a pay to play sort of like organization where like multiple governments put money into the pot to basically have a police force that they allow. So basically, they can kidnap people from other people's countries. So, like, let's just say you don't like a guy in your country, we can put an Interpol notice on them, and then we can have some Interpol agent in a different country snatch the guy extradite the person for you. It's essentially a tool to fuck anyone you don't like up. But but it's Interpol. Interpol is a huge, like Turkey's involved, Russia's involved. As soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, this is just like a way. This is basically Gestapo force for these countries. Like, we have people in Russia we don't like. We have people in the UK we don't like. Let's help each other.
Right. And you can kind of tell that based on like what charges somebody has on there. If it's like murder,
okay,
you know,
all right.
like drugs, like you're like, okay. But if it's like,
I'm not saying they're not doing good things, but like,
but it's like tax evasion, like. I don't know. That's one that's like you could slap that label on anybody, like without, like it's like guilty until proven innocent almost.
There was like when you looked up Richard, it was like Richard tax evasion, right? And then next to him, you know, transporting illicit arms of weapons and stuff. It was like basically an arms dealer. Then the next guy, mass murderer. Like it was just like it was this whole thing where like, hey, yeah, I ran a red light versus like, and then there's like guy who's killed 14 people. Guy who sold weapons to terrorists.
Brittany Griner.
What am I doing here? Right? And here's what happened. So basically, I think it was Holland, right? I think it was Holland basically had said that. So Richard had done PulseX and Pulse Chain, and effectively through the sacrifice, he had made about, you know, let's just call it like $800 million, maybe $1 billion, give or take. But was he a citizen of that country? No. It was just he was residing. He was just kind of there vacationing while the thing was happening. Right. And so they were like, no, we're entitled to 20-30% of that money.
And he might have had like a bank account at some point there, but like he wasn't keeping anything there. I don't think so.
Interpol wasn't after him.
No. Well,
it's a way to kind of keep this guy controlled.
Yeah,
I see.
Because he has a little bit of a loud mouth, and you know they don't want him to get too rich, and you know.
Well, while we're on the topic of coins, I'm going to run some coins by you guys, and you guys tell me what you think. XRP.
I mean,
not worth it.
not really worth it. I
Not
think you
yet.
make more money on other.
Oh, but
coins.
BitBoy says it's coin, isn't it?
Bitboy's in jail.
Yeah. No,
Is
what
he actually
happened?
in jail?
Is he in
Still-
jail?
Yeah, he was. What do you call it? As far as I heard,
I never
last
lost
time
his mind.
he was in Georgia. 'Cause I think he's based out of Atlanta or something.
Yeah.
But he was, he's going on his own rants and stuff. Which I like the guy. He's a really nice guy. I met him in person a few times.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, you met him, right?
I did. Yeah, I met him at one of your guys' events.
Good, genuine guy. But the problem was where he started saying stuff about local judges.
Oh,
So he started saying they were in on stuff, and it got a little too off the.
it's like Liver King
beaten
going
path.
and like threatening Joe Rogan.
Exactly. But you don't want to go and threaten your local judges. I mean,
Yeah. Oh,
not the brightest idea.
And there's this whole thing too where we talked about being very careful about drugs and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
sure, you
Mhm.
can have some alcohol and it's fine, but like this whole thing about mixing, like, I'm not gonna say who, but me, you know what I'm talking about.
Mm.
There's people who start using Adderall as
like
as
prescription
prescription drugs
Yeah.
as a, it's true. Like, I know tons
Oh,
of
it's
guys in
okay
text.
because my doctor gave it to me.
Yeah.
And then you're like,
Right.
but they find a way to get like way too much.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Coke
like,
and meth are
Right.
bad because that's for people partying and stuff. But I'm using over here
Prescription drugs,
prescription drugs
yeah.
because I'm trying to focus. I'm locked in right now. I'm trying to be in the zone, right? And then what happens is they start getting addicted to that stuff, and then
it's
they
kind of like Michael Jackson with the opioids.
right.
Yeah.
Then they start mixing it with alcohol, and then they start doing coke. Then their mind starts getting
Yeah.
a little warped. With
Yeah,
these
that's
drugs.
what Aubrey Huff told me because like
Yeah.
he started doing Adderall and he was a heavy drinker, and so he would use Adderall to sober up.
Yep.
And,
wow.
Yeah, and he said I had to get off. He just basically had to leave the whole scene for a while.
We both know a person that like it got to the point where like they were crushing up Adderall and snorting it.
Yeah.
Snorting it. To like, I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah.
I thought maybe you put it on your tongue and just it hits you harder, but like they were snorting it and then they were using it as a stopgap for coke.
Yeah.
As well. So I
Yeah.
was like, whoa. And then and you're right, it always ends up leading to like guys who are on a ton of like Adderall that eventually they start picking up a little bit of I don't know if it's because dopamine and serotonin get blasted up and they go down. So maybe they use alcohol as a bridge to kind
It's
of.
crazy
I
how
don't know
close
how it
that
works.
is to like methamphetamines.
Yeah,
too.
it's,
Oh yeah.
they're-
Like,
they're-
well,
yeah,
like
Can't
like
you
people
use
always
some
hit
of that
me
to
up.
make that
Like
stuff
I
or
remember
something?
when
they are sort of somewhat related.
Oh man,
Yeah.
what's that kid's
Like
name?
Benadryl?
What's that liberal kid's name? He just had a meltdown recently. I can't
Liberal
remember. You know what I'm talking about?
Harry Sisson.
Harry Sisson, yeah, that's
talking
the
about
dude.
him?
Yeah, and he's like, it's my anxiety pen, and he's like, his eyes are rolling back in his head and
Oh.
everything. I'm gonna hit on that tomorrow on tomorrow's show, but like I was like,
Benjamin Yahoo.
God, no, his name is Harry Sisson, yeah, and he was like, somebody was giving him like he was probably getting grief in the comment section or something about his anxiety pen, and they were just giving him shit because the
Wow.
kid definitely has like something going on.
And look, there's nothing wrong with like I have abused caffeine to like an extraordinary extent.
You
right?
too, huh?
Oh,
Still
no,
am.
I mean,
Still am. Well,
still am.
Devil Mountain Coffee. Buy some today.
Podcasting without coffee. I mean,
Yeah, but like coffee, and then also like I like a cigar. Once
I
in
should
a
tell you
while.
guys how I came into contact with Devil Mountain Coffee.
How'd that happen?
Like I was like, gosh, what was I doing at the time? I was oh, I know what it was. We're doing modafinil. And I was like, but I need to amp myself up. I need to wake up in the mornings more. And then so I said, I was thinking about it, and I was asking some friends of mine. I said, what coffee is the strongest coffee in the world, right? Because I was thinking, it's Arabica.
What a question.
Well, no,
What is
the strongest coffee you could get, right? And so like, because I was used to doing like red eyes, red eye. It's like a cup of coffee with a shot of espresso.
Oh, I
in
think
it.
meant like a plain. No. Oh,
Yeah, or
okay,
like a hammerhead or red eye. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like a cup of coffee with a shot of espresso in it. That doesn't even approach the amount of caffeine that is in a cup of like 1 8-ounce or 12-ounce cup of Devil Mountain coffee. It is the highest caffeine content allowable by law. It's 1555 milligrams.
No, wait, stop. Wait.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Dead serious.
1,500.
1,553 milligrams of caffeine.
How has someone not died, dude? Like, I mean, like
heart attack.
the
Dude,
strongest.
I had
pre-workout-
some
the
before I
strongest
came
pre-workouts
over
are
here.
500. Bro, you guys don't understand, you guys, because like gym wise, right?
You just get used to it.
The strongest pre-workouts are 500 milligrams.
500
That's
milligrams.
what
Yeah.
2 scoops.
Yeah.
15 fucking.
Yeah.
It's like me scooping
Well,
6
like,
scoops of
well,
pre-workout.
like Death Wish coffee is like 800 or
Oh my
something like
God.
that. There's some other
Hence
ones
the
that are out
names,
there.
right?
Yeah.
Death Wish.
Devil Mountain Coffee.
Devil Mountain Coffee is like,
Death Wish.
yes, and they're still. People ask me, are they still in business? They're still in business, but they were having. Last time I looked, they were looking for a distributor for it. For the coffee. And I'm like, fuck. If I had the money,
that's where a lot of
it.
businesses fail. Is that like right before real success?
Yeah,
it's that scaling point where like it starts costing a lot of money to get your product all over the world.
Hey. Shark Tank.
Distribution.
This is why crypto mindset, you guys. Crypto is worldwide.
Right. Okay. XLM.
It'll do okay, but it's
similar to Ripple.
Similar to Ripple, yeah.
Same family.
Okay.
Jeb McCaleb is literally like a dark lord of crypto. He's like
QNT.
That one used to be really good, like in terms of like its early growth phases, but now I don't think it's like going to keep up with most.
I haven't even heard. Well, I know XRP, obviously.
Yeah, Quant is like an FBI made coin. Actually.
Okay, I know. Okay. HBAR.
Still trash.
Yeah.
Same.
Trash coin?
It's probably worse than Ripple, but
it's like an XRP crony in a way.
Yeah, they're all centralized bullshit.
ISO token. Like here's the thing with the ISO tokens. I like because I'm trying to be as real as I can, right? Like they have I would say back in 22 and 21,
all correlated too.
They're all correlated, right? 2022, 23, I would even say like even from like 17 to 2023, there's a legit case for the ISO tokens because you don't have MasterCard, you don't have Visa, you don't have, they're maybe privately investing in crypto, but they don't really have the tech side of it now. All these in the last year, right? You've had the birth of like the most amount of stable coins I think ever, right? Circle and Tether have been there forever, right? But now like Visa has a stable coin.
JP Morgan's coming out with one.
BlackRock has a stable coin. The amount of competition in stable coins.
Trump came out with one. USD1.
Yes. Yeah. And then here's the thing is like what people are using XRP for is remittances and moving money around the globe. Well, now I can just do it with my own stable coin. Yeah. So it's in a way, it's kind of like it's kind of they've undercutted their business, and that's one of the reasons why I think Circle went public recently, but like they were trying. There was a bidding war between Coinbase and XRP to buy USDC.
Well, that is good. Well, I'll let you finish there, but.
And it was this is how crazy the market got. Circle just recently went public, right? BlackRock owns 10% of it. Its market cap at the top was higher. So there's about roughly $54 billion of USDC. I'd have to look right now, but I think it was like within 3 days of it going on the stock market, its market cap was $68 billion. So the company was worth more than actual dollars they actually had in the company.
Makes sense.
Which makes sense, right? But that's how crazy the market's getting because with the Genius Act that's passing, right? They've essentially made it almost not impossible, but almost impossible to make a stable coin unless you're working with a bank or working with a big institution. So
they didn't want like credit unions to come out with their own like stable coins,
which scares them. Yeah.
But
what about Sui?
Sui's absolutely one of the best. And the reason why is it's Solana 2.0. So Solana came out last cycle.
You had me buy Sui.
Yeah, Solana came out last cycle as like what do you call it? The VC backed coin that's super centralized. The only problem with Solana last cycle that kind of got rubbed off this cycle was Sam Bankman-Fried was heavily in.
He put himself real deep in there.
He put him deep in there with his hedge fund and everything like that. Once he got totally out of that throughout the bear market, they did rebrand it. They came back and they're now Premier Layer 1 and they get a lot of meme coin action, right? Okay. Sui is the same game plan. Same VCs that made all the money on Solana are back in, and they say, let's run this back and do it again with Sui. But I would say Sui's technology is more decentralized. They do actually, they put more work into it. They learned from their mistakes on Solana. And they're like, how can we make a better Solana? And so then they have, I'd say more like corporate connections and stuff like that. And some people in crypto are like, well, I don't know if we want to go in this direction, but it's the direction towards mass adoption.
Yeah, that's where we're going.
Yeah, so I think like Sui is one of these ones it's going to outpace Bitcoin. It's already outpaced Ethereum this cycle. It's probably going to keep outpacing Solana. So it's like one of those good like middle grounds where it's like you still have a chance to make a really good amount of X's and money, but at the same time, it's not so new that it's like really, really risky compared to other stuff. They've already had like a hack on their one of their DEXs, which wasn't the main protocol. It was just one of the sub protocols, and usually a blockchain has one or two of those in their early days, and then it gets past that. So it's already kind of gotten past the hard phase, which is like first 2 or 3 years. But
at least the network didn't go down, which is very important.
Exactly.
Solana had a huge amount of kind of shutdowns and like
Ethereum had to roll back their own chain.
Yeah. Bitcoin did too, actually.
Bitcoin had to pause transactions. Yep.
No, it didn't.
Twice, at least twice.
There was actually an inflation bug on Bitcoin. Or super early. Someone figured out how to print a bunch of Bitcoin.
What was that, like 2011 or something?
No. It was like early 10.
Okay.
Like super early in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
There was an inflation bug. They fixed it, and it was all kind of like it was all padded out.
Sonic.
Yes.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Buy now.
Sonic.
Undervalued.
What about nobody sausage?
I bought some more recently.
Oh, you did? Because
Yes.
it's like
it's fallen down.
It's fallen
But
off.
I took some profits, you guys.
Yeah.
I was telling guys to take profits around like 40 million because like
People don't even know what we're talking about.
No.
Nobody sausage.
Nobody sausage.
Nobody sausage.
Nobody's winning.
Yes, these
So-
are shit coins. Thank you very much.
So on YouTube, so right before we started the sales of the crypto mindset course like a couple weeks ago, guys were asking like, hey, how can we pay for the course? So I told people
Get into nobody.
Get into nobody. But it's true. We worked. We made money. Hey, I don't know why I made grief here.
That's how you pay.
Well, it's the same thing. Like this weekend, what do you call it? The first half of this week, we were talking about this new project that we've been working with for the last 3 years called Polemos, PLMS.
Yeah, I was
We
going to
did
ask
the
you about that.
exact same playbook. There's like, if you look at the difference between tokens, right? You look at Nobody Sausage, you look at Polemos. Polemos is a corporation DAO that has like a bunch of Ethereum network connections and like is a totally big business. And Nobody Sausage is just a random meme coin.
Right.
But they both can have the same results. So like we kind of tell people like, hey, here's the risk to reward on this. Here's like one that we're going to play just for like 2 weeks versus here's one that we're going to play for like 3-6 months.
What's the price right now on PLMS?
1 cent, one four.
Yeah, so 14 cents.
Yeah, 14. Okay.
14 cents. So
when it was 3.5 cents.
3.5 cents.
Yeah.
It's so that's the kind of thing where people.
And so we mentioned to people, hey, you put $1,000 into that at 3.5 to 5 cents. Goes up to 10, 15, 20 cents. You sell, you get some profit, plus you can pay for the course, pay for the Take Profits course.
You're already
bada bing,
done.
bada boom.
Yeah.
And the same thing with Nobody Sausage. Like I told people about it at 4 million market cap.
Yep.
It went up to 40 at 40 million. That's 10x your money.
Yep.
I told start taking money out.
Bug
It went
out.
up to 60 million.
Right.
And then it crashed down, and I started buying around 15 million market cap, and I've just bought a little bit more recently.
I'm wondering if it would have crashed as hard because of geopolitical things.
No,
Yes. Everything started crashing around that time. Yeah.
I mean, the Fire Nation
everything
attacks,
took
everything
took a shit. At
I
that
mean,
point.
it's just like
So you think do you think it'll bounce? Because
Yes.
it's hella low right now.
because here's the thing. I was okay.
It's a fire sale.
The actual guy who made the Nobody Sausage, he likes the project. He is supporting it. He's making memes with it. So okay, the guy has a 7.7 million subscriber Instagram channel. He's a 22 million subscriber TikTok.
For those of you who don't know, it's an animation subscription channel.
Yeah, and then he has like a 300, almost 400,000 subscriber YouTube channel, and he just started Twitter. Maybe that's like 40,000 followers now.
It is actually kind of clever. I'll give him that.
Yeah, it was just like a meme animation shop. So they were just doing like little like jokes like with these sausages like depicting real life and just being funny on Instagram. I found them before they had a coin. I just like, oh wow, this is so hilarious. And then Traders Season brought it to my attention. Hey, they're coming out with the token. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Really? And then like the founder's cool with it. Yeah. So then I started seeing the founder started making ones with like $ nobody and doing all these dances. And it made us a lot of money. The same thing too. Like, I mean, like we've been, one thing I've been specializing in that I'll teach guys in the course is like Instagram research, TikTok research. I have Kyle working on TikTok. I'm doing Instagram, and mostly demographic wise because Kyle's a Zoomer. I'm a millennial. Most millennials are on Instagram. Most Zoomers are on TikTok. There is like an age gap divide there. And economically speaking, though, one of the things I figured out before like all our competition was this: that okay, demographically speaking, the Zoomers don't have that much money. Right now, the economy's bad. So the Zoomers have almost no money. Yeah. The millennials have been around. I mean, we've been through like fucking Y2K. We've been through fucking 9/11. We've been through the housing crisis. We've been through the fucking pandemic. I mean, we've been through fucking World War III, World War III again, World War III again.
Yes.
We're fighting.
I laugh so hard when I hear that. Oh, it's World War. We're going to war. I'm like, how many of these guys were like around for Operation Desert Shield, Operation Desert Storm?
Yeah.
For 9/11, like they didn't know. Like this is the 90s, man. I remember Desert Shield.
It's been tough. So if you were like a younger Xer, a millennial, it's been just nonstop bullshit.
I know.
But it's like it's weird how it's happening. Like
you were not in World War III. Trust me, I'm an Xer. It's all right.
Yeah, because like right now it's like what it was Ukraine, Russia. Okay, now it's Israel and Iran, and then eventually, I mean, hopefully this doesn't happen. I don't want to see like China, Taiwan, but these are sort of. I think maybe the Taiwan one with the United States would actually enter that. That would be
that
really
one's
legit.
like, what do you call it? Like an arms race in terms of chips and stuff.
Yeah. So that one's a pretty big one. But like if that, as long as that one doesn't happen, these are I don't want to call them skirmishes. People are dying. Like I
True.
they shouldn't happen.
They are military actions.
Well, the government probably calls it way worse. I mean, it's like, oh yeah, it's just nothing, like
Collateral damage.
Exactly.
As long as like the greater Europe isn't attacking the United States or greater Europe isn't attacking Russia or China, as long as the United States, China, Russia are not attacking, there's no global war.
Yeah.
These are skirmishes, but it's terrible because how many people lose their lives? Because all these three, the big three, like all three of us, right? If we were like United States, China, Russia, right? We're just playing this arm money game. We're playing this little
playing risk. Yeah.
We're essentially like setting
why
up.
you follow the money.
Yeah, it's sort of like we're playing this whole thing where like you're like here, Kyle, I want you to hit his number 2 guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then China, like Charlie here is like, which way? How am I going to play this one?
Yeah.
Like, am I going to arm this guy or this? And there's just, that's geopolitics, and it's terrible because it plays with people's lives. But the big difference that we keep trying to hit over everyone's fucking head this cycle is this: it's been nonstop. Incredibly good news for crypto. There's no bad news.
Yep.
Okay, sure. Maybe the Genius Act isn't as perfect as we like.
Well,
of
the
course.
mass adoption is not exactly what people in crypto thought it would be or hoped it would be, but it's going to happen the way it's going to happen.
We have the most pro crypto president we've ever had in the United States.
Yeah.
This entire cycle is completely US led.
And freaking Rachel Maddow and retards like that.
Rachel Maddow.
I mean, she was talking about Bitcoin recently as Beanie Babies, but the only reason
Beanie Baby.
clearly she doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. But like all these people that are like traditional media, they're sounding stupider and stupider the more that it gets adopted, because then they're like, oh, crypto must be a Republican thing. It must be a Trump thing. And it's like, no, it's a money thing.
It's a money thing.
And they're just smart enough to get on it first. And you're late. That's why you're pissed.
Right. and then you'll start seeing these guys who are like, all right, Bitcoin's okay. Like they'll start doing little Bitcoin's okay. And then later on it's have you seen the Blue Da Vinci sort of thing where like, Da Vinci is like this black guy back in the day who was one of the first guys on YouTube telling people buy $1 of Bitcoin. Yeah. This is when Bitcoin was like less than $1 or $1. And he recently has like, you guys should invest into Black Droid. It's like he's starting to talk about meme coins and stuff like that. It's such a difference, but that's the market. The market adapts. Like he knows where to put his money. Like invest in altcoins, make profits, put them into Bitcoin. Yep. That's what we do. Like we do that, or we're taking to Ethereum, whatever your side hustle or cash. But that's the game. The game is like when things are bad, or you see, wow, there's money to be made. Like I'll put some into Plomos, or I'll put some into Nobody Sausage. Like one thing that we made money recently, which was very stupid, by the way. Like this is why I bought the whole Instagram research. Was like I saw that like AI videos are starting to get kind of hot now, and I saw like, wow, this is like there's a meme that's really funny. It's about these fat black African guys. It's called the Fat Fellas, right? And they were getting millions of views on Instagram, and they launched a token. I was like, screw it. I put $1,000 into it. The token, when I put $1,000 into it, the token was $64,000. The whole thing. Market cap. By the time it finished, Bert Kreischer started retweeting it, talking about, this is the fucking funniest thing I've ever, with his shirt off. This is the fucking funniest thing I've ever seen. And then he starts going on Joe Rogan. Dude, have you seen the fucking Fat Fellas? And he starts showing Joe Rogan about Fat Fellas.
Because he bought a bag.
He bought a bag, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
The token went from $64,000 to $22 million. I started telling my guys, hey, I'm cashing it at $5 million. So I started selling at $5 million all the way up to $22 million. That was, and a ton of our guys bought.
Yep.
And made a bunch of money on it. Also another thing too, me and Charlie were one of some of the earliest people. I started seeing I think these meme coins are coming back in 23. I was one of the earliest investors in Pepe.
Yeah.
Pepe became, it's the biggest meme this cycle, and it's what is it like $4 billion? $4 billion market cap. We caught it when it was like a couple, it may have been $1 million.
It was just brand new.
Brand new. Invested on the third day. It's still been like the most money I've made this cycle. Wow. 23. And this is because whatever happened in 21, we discarded. Okay. Yeah. It's a brand new cycle.
It's a new iteration, right?
Correct.
And so the reason why memes came back so well is because NFTs died.
Yep.
Because everybody was like, we want something degenerate to speculate on, that can be a quick buck and have fun.
But it can't be a JPEG. Yeah.
It can't be
in a liquid JPEG.
Yeah.
So we have to be able to sell it. Yeah. And so, okay, well, if we put a meme on it, it's just as pretty much the same thing as a JPEG, right? And so then they're like, okay, well, let's just bet on this cycle. And so it's been kind of that fast process with those. But in the course, we teach people, it's like Pepe. There's a reason why this coin is probably going to stick. Well, at this point, it is going to stick around as a main meme coin like Doge and Shiba Inu and other stuff. But then each cycle, it's within each of these sectors of crypto, you get these kind of new coins getting into like I don't know what you call
the
it,
upper
club.
threshold. There's an ascension where you become like, this is just a joke to like, I gotta seriously like Doge is such a joke. Like it's such a like ridiculous thing, but it's
never going away.
But it's never going. It's the Bitcoin of meme coins.
Yeah. Friggin' robo taxis will probably be accepting Dogecoin, Bitcoin.
See,
Ethereum.
I was going to ask you about FWOG, and I was going to ask you about like
Frog has done
Bert.
that. I know,
No, those are all good, like
but they're
mid-tier
gonna
memes.
be good,
Yeah, Bert's good. Bert's done really well for me.
Yeah.
So.
But like
People don't even know what I'm talking about. Bert
No.
the Pomeranian.
The
Bert
Pomeranian, yeah.
Bertland the Pomeranian.
Punk case. I have a bunch of Solana memes. I've told people about them and stuff. But you know, the thing is, we teach our guys to make some speculation plays. You can put $200-$300, $500, $1,000. I don't go past $1,000 if a coin's like very low market cap. Thousands me like I'm swinging for the fences on it.
Right.
What would be a low market cap?
I would say 100,000 or lower, $1 million or lower.
Yeah.
That's like you can catch a really huge run.
It's $1 million or lower.
$1 million or lower, yeah.
Okay.
It's because you have to understand how crazy this is. Me and Charlie come in from the time of 2017 onwards, where like if a coin was under $50 million, it was like the shittiest piece of crap you've ever seen. Now we're like, you know, this thing's like
well, and that's also because the market is more of a trader cycle this year.
Correct. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because like last cycle you could buy and hold anything and it would go up. This cycle you have
to
be a little bit more judicious.
If you told 21 Charlie and Miguel about what 2025 Miguel and Charlie are doing,
Yeah.
what's happening?
I know.
Who
are you?
What is fucking done you, brother? I gotta survive the trenches.
Well, and I mean, talking about like, you know, men's health and stuff like that, there are some people from 2017 that are OGs in the crypto space starting to go a little crazy.
They're fucking going crazy.
I mean, BitBoy's an example,
yeah.
but then there's a few people on Twitter. Like I saw this one guy, I think his name was Crypto Dog or something back in the day.
Oh yeah,
super good account, lots of good information back in 2017. Recently, he's like, people are against me and all this crazy shit. I'm just like, damn, dog, like. Sometimes these people's like,
I'm
they
glad
don't adjust to the market. Basically,
I'm glad I got into this like later on because you already know about Red Pill Lines,
right.
And then like I was just a hobby investor back in like 2017, 2018, and then we had the drop for it got all like I think I was like so stoked when Bitcoin got to like 19 and then just like collapsed after that. I was like, oh, well, you know, it was fun while it lasted. And then I just, you know, held on to it and then it finally went back up again. Right. Yep. So then I learned the nature of you know, how to do it. And, you know, I've invested before, but like not in crypto. It's been, you know, penny stocks or whatever kind of thing. But I'll tell you the thing that has helped me like learn how to play the game better is goddamn altcoins, man.
Yeah. Yep. Because it's a faster iteration of the same thing.
Yeah. It's just, it's quicker. And so like, I get it. I can see you can see it like by the hour basically. Right. And so the
one thing we like to say about meme coins is it's kind of like the skeleton of what crypto is. If you look at Bitcoin over time, it has, there's actually a guy who's like pretty popular right now talking about meme coins, which is called Must Stop Murad. He's one of the bigger accounts talking about meme coins this cycle. He actually back in 2018 came out with an idea called the Bitcoin Lindy effect. Just tells you the idea of how something can go from basically a digital collectible meme coin all the way up to full global money. Like these are the different steps it has to take to get to where Bitcoin wants to go. And like the amount of coins that get up to like basically digital collectible and then just fall the fuck off are like the majority, right? 95, 99%. And so like what people I think in Bitcoin don't want to admit is Bitcoin at the very beginning was just, it was nothing, right? It was a meme coin. It was a skeleton.
Look at the name.
Too. Yeah.
Bitcoin. That's a joke. Like, and I'm saying this because, like, obviously, I have Bitcoin. I respect Bitcoin. I will always have Bitcoin. But I mean, think about it. It's called Bitcoin. This is like some like what?
Yeah, like what the fuck is
this?
We're
We're just talking about some fucking like fractional.
It's funny. It's funny to talk
shit.
to. It's funny to talk to people who still don't get it. Like, you know, like. But what is it? It's
you know we're in the know.
Yeah, but that's the thing with people in crypto. People get so
not creating anything. I'm like bullshit.
They get so tribalistic on different things within crypto that if you show them the process, like here's what Bitcoin's gone through, how far along the process is your coin? Like a lot of people don't want to admit that, but if you can kind of step back and be coin agnostic and see kind of those patterns in growth, then you can kind of see, oh, well, Dogecoin was just a joke for a while, but now it's getting adopted. I mean, hell, they have Doge Radio, which allows you to send Dogecoin over radio signals.
Yeah,
like that's like a really good use of cryptographic technology, right? But with something that's absolutely just like a testing ground. So like an Ethereum as well was vaporware in 2017, but now actually has like an application layer, DeFi layer built on top of it. Not until like 2020, from 2017 until 2020, everybody was like, including John McAfee, was just saying like, what do you call it? DEXs, DeFi, all this stuff. And everybody was like, yeah, someday might be hard to make. And then just it came out of nowhere and kind of caught a lot of people off guard, even though that's what people wanted.
It's kind of like you saying to everybody, like, you guys should be red pill aware. That's dumb. Why should I be red pill aware? Like the red pill is misogynistic, and then people get into it. It's like, I understand.
Right.
Yeah.
I understand.
Right.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, let's talk about your course.
Yeah, of course. So
I have your calendar ready to go. If you
can pull it up.
talk
Yeah,
about
let's
it. Yeah,
pull it
let's bring it up.
Pull it up.
All right. There we are. Here's your calendar.
What screen am I looking at? Oh, okay. So
this is what's coming up on July 5th, 6th, 7th. And I'm always late to the party. So use my link. Use this link.
Support.
I'm always like 1 or 2 days out from registration closing.
Yeah, we'll keep it open longer and all that. So
Yeah.
the webinars themselves start on July 5th, as you can see there. We'll keep Rollo's link open till basically the Thursday before,
cool.
that's on Saturday.
So use my link and you get to go in no matter what.
Yeah. And like, what do you call it? We do a big group of 15 live webinars. We have 5 pre-recorded. Here as a list of all 15 that are live. The 5 pre-recorded are usually to kind of get the people who have never done crypto or the people who are still like new to crypto, getting them back up to speed. But then the first half of webinars here that we have at 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every single day, those are essentially getting what the current market is, which is your Q3 thesis, top 50 coin list, best portfolio strategies for the current market. That's all what's happening right now. So we kind of try to get everybody on the same page with the current market. And then we go back over the 4 quadrants we think are most important to analyze and understand the crypto market, which is 1, risk management. Most people don't do shit with risk management. So be sure to learn how to not lose money first, right? And then we do fundamentals, on-chain, and technical analysis. And those 3 sectors, generally, if you have an agreement between the 3, they tell you kind of where the wind is blowing, where things are going in crypto next. So most people have like technical and fundamentals, but they miss on-chain analysis or they're missing one of the 3.
It's a trifecta of like how to look at like how to invest in crypto.
And even people who are within crypto for a long time still need some of that. So we fill the gaps there. And then once everybody's on the same page, we get to a Q&A to make sure that there's nobody left behind, no man left behind. And then we get into some juicy ecosystem plays. I don't know, Miguel, if you want to mention the second half.
Yeah. So the first half is basically just like Charlie said, we're basically getting people up to like where the market is today, what's happening now. And then, after we do that Q&A in the morning is like, which is like the final, like, all right, any questions right now before we start going, we turn the afterburners on and we start going into degeneracy and some of the spicy intermittent advanced stuff. We go into Solana degen summer. So we start talking about we're going to show people how to use like basically the mobile apps, how to use the desktop wallets, how to use Solana, what's the history of Solana, the past, present, and future, who's investing into it, what price predictions, as well as like upcoming coins. We have some plays on Solana we're going to do as well. But it's just gonna be all around, kind of talking about the whole ecosystem and where to put money into it. Or it might just you might be, what, this is a little too degenerate for me. I'm not gonna do it.
Right.
But the important thing is that that's
where the risk management webinar comes in, so you understand that beforehand.
So then we get into July 14th, which is Wall Street and RWAs. RWAs is real world assets. So this in the future. So basically, these are an asset class. It's brand new this cycle. It's been around for a while, but like where it's now, it's an official thing where it's companies that take crypto technology and then use it as a representation for something in the digital world. So you'll be able to buy a fractional piece of a real estate property, or you'll be able to buy ownership in a team or in a company through a crypto token, and that's your ownership piece. So it's going to be a lot of that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's starting to happen.
Is that a new class?
Yes, it's a brand.
You've never done this one before.
No, we haven't run it before. Brand new. So it's going to be about RWAs and Wall Street. That is
I almost want to. I'm gonna audit that class. Yeah, audit there. Just that sounds interesting.
So that's one of the ones I've been working on along with Charlie. It's a brand new webinar. We are going to show you guys where Wall Street's putting all their money. We're going to show articles and everything of like, okay, they're putting 50 million here. They're investing in Bitcoin miners. We're going to kind of map out where all the VCs, Wall Street, BlackRock, where they're putting their money in, because this cycle is very different. This cycle is completely led by big bank money and VC money. It's the first time it's happened. It's very different,
and that's
not retail led.
And some people are like, "Well, that's a bad thing. Crypto's lost its way," and it's like, well, Do you want to make money or not?
We're going to make money.
We're going to make money either way.
So this is why we have SUI there and Solana. Solana is a US based cryptocurrency, right? An L1 competitor to Ethereum, but it was created in Solana Beach, California. But it's basically a Silicon Valley PayPal Mafia token. PayPal Mafia is actually very real, guys. It's even in the Trump presidency.
I mean, Peter Thiel even just bought a crypto exchange recently.
The most powerful gay man in the world. I'm not joking around. Yeah. You want to know some crazy shit? Like most people don't know this. So like there was this whole bank that blew up a couple of years ago called Silicon Valley Bank. Peter Thiel, that was his boyfriend. The CEO was his boyfriend. The dude ended up telling everybody, hey, they had a big. So I guess allegedly Peter Thiel and the boyfriend got into a huge argument, and basically Peter Thiel found out the bank was going to go bust. Peter Thiel then goes on Twitter and tells people, you guys, I've just instructed all my holding companies to withdraw all their money out of Silicon Valley Bank. Then the Silicon Valley CEO jumps off the building and kills himself.
Wow.
That part, people didn't find out until 6 months later. I didn't even know. You would think when a company's going bust, you would find out the CEO died. No, it was completely swept under the rug that the CEO died. We found out months later, and then I didn't even know that he was dating him. On top of it, so you imagine that. That's how powerful. I mean, dude, like it's just allegedly. So we got the sauce in the course, you guys. Allegedly.
Accusations.
Yeah. So Sonic Growth Plays is basically it's also a VC backed one. They're currently planning on moving either to Texas or to New York right now. They're kind of right now they're holding a huge convention in New York right now, permissionless.
Undervalued chain.
Super undervalued chain. This is one of the chains I made the most money on in 2021. It was called Phantom back then. It's now turned into Sonic. The technology is incredible. They're a lot of their technology is what's actually it's upgrading Ethereum right now. So there's some deals in the background where Sonic technology was kind of purchased and then allowed to kind of like, it's kind of like the Ghost wrote, and then that's your song now. Okay, cool. And because of that, they're being given like access. So like beforehand, they never had USDC. They have USDC. They have Aave. They just got on Coinbase. They're on Kraken, Gemini, Crypto.com. Basically, thank you for helping us. You're in the club now. Is kind of what's happening. And on top of that, they're doing deals with the US side and stuff. So it's very interesting. So that's one of the things I'm most bullish on. I bought a fuck ton of this coin. So I've recently just bought like $50,000 of it at like 27 cents. It's at 31 cents right now. Then we go into AI and crypto. This is the first, we always talk about, we've been talking about AI for the last 2 years, but like this is the first time we're dedicating a full webinar to that. So how are we using it for research? What are the tokens that we think are best in the space? Past, present, future. We actually we haven't listed in here, but Charlie's brother is actually an AI expert. Yeah. He's can I talk about the company a little bit? He sold. Yeah. So he has an AI company, robotics company that he just recently sold. And he's coming out with a book on AI and everything like that. So we may actually have him do a class on like where he sees the industry going, because
it's insane.
It's scary, actually. Like 2027 is going to be probably one of the biggest years for AI. We're in an arms race right now between countries to get enough electricity to run the chips to get a supercomputer up and running where it can attack countries. And then because the technology is developing so quickly, we get like the retarded offspring that are like need less power, like ChatGPT. So ChatGPT gets 20 times better, and then so our lives improve and we can start doing stuff. And like, so how we have the globalized sexual marketplace that disrupted the planet. We're about to get something I call the white collaring, which is AI is about to displace a massive amount of people. The next 5 years, we're about to see a lot of layoffs in white collar work. Lower end, I'm talking about like accountants. Like right now, we're seeing a little bit with like clipping. Guys who make clips, guys who make shorts. Right. That industry. I would say half of people are going to lose their jobs. It's going to get concentrated. The guys who are actually really good, either there's going to be guys who are like, I call them artists or masters. Like, this is the guy who blew up Andrew Tate. It's not just as an example, right? This is the guy who helped Fresh and Fit blow up. That person will be able to command a fucking fortune. Then you have guys who are like really good at the tech side that'll just make fortunes because they have mass amounts of bots and AI to just spam all the internet.
Yeah, actually, it's like a global intelligence race, and we're not the ones that are going to be the most intelligent over the long term, right? But it's our intelligence and how do we use that tool, right? And so the way that I view crypto is kind of like the printing press. Right, it disrupts the government. It's the first time that people could be literate. The first time that people could see things for themselves and kind of don't trust but verify. Yeah. And crypto is the same thing for money. It's the first time government hasn't been in control of money.
Right,
like
it's democratizing
exactly. And so then AI is more like the invention of either the wheel or fire.
Just like OnlyFans is democratized prostitution.
It's like we've invented the car and all the buggies are going away.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's like if you can figure this out as it pertains to how is crypto going to take advantage of these two technologies mixing, but then also, and how is AI good? Because crypto is going to be the native currency to AI. Because when bots pay each other, or
It's
when
the money.
bots go and try to
Yeah,
use
it's
things
gonna
on
go
the
through
internet,
that, yeah.
they're going to need a wallet where they can basically buy stuff from the robo-taxi in Texas, right? That's probably going to accept Dogecoin, Bitcoin, Ethereum, stable coins, right? And that's going to be the currency.
And debit credit card,
you
of
can
course.
buy a whole fleet of robo-taxis once they're fully autonomous. They go fuel themselves. You just like empty it out like a freaking coin laundromat, thing at the end of the day. But instead of a coin, what do you call it, thing or whatever, it's crypto wallet, right?
And remember, you guys, like if you're the first to jump into it, it's like
if you know how to make money with that,
Yeah,
right,
early
then you can
adoption.
buy more crypto and make more money. So it's like a good flywheel effect versus, you know, people who don't really know anything about AI or aren't really jumping on the bandwagon in any form, right? They're going to be like fighting like with two hands tied behind their back practically.
It's sort of like you're the first guy to really use Airbnb at first. You're gonna make a fortune with Airbnb, and then as it gets saturated within 5 years, everyone's got a bunch of robots doing fucking like let's just say being taxis. Then it becomes unprofitable. You sell you probably just sell the business, wait
Market
it out.
gets saturated.
Market gets saturated. You made your money, and then you then buy up the fucking losers and then come back into the market, or just go into a different vertical, basically. Yeah, but like that's where all the money's gonna be made. And it's scary because the main thing about AI that just scares me a little bit is because it's basically an intelligence. Like we're about to go up a standard deviation in intelligence of like the threshold of like to make money. So dumber people or people with less skills are going to suffer quite a lot.
It's interesting. The way that I like to look at AI and crypto and stuff like this is like the people at the bottom, they get a chance to rise up.
Correct.
Because we need them for, like what do you call it? Quantity, right? And then the people at the top, they're the ones designing the systems. They're the ones that basically get to keep their spot. It's everybody in the middle, right, that kind of gets squeezed out.
Right.
And so like for example, like Hollywood, right? Now anybody can make a movie with AI or it's going towards that direction.
Right.
Hollywood, but the best people in Hollywood are still going to be the best people, right? But then and the bottom people are going to be able to come up from average everyday Joes, but the guy who does
coasting
stop
a little bit.
motion animation or something like that. Sorry, bro.
but like what's like, and Charlie's 100% right. Like what is going to be the most the thing that's going to help? So if you're a person that's creative and has imagination, you're going to thrive with AI.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like a story. So right now, what's Hollywood missing? Storytelling. If you're a storyteller and then now you have the tech to actually build it up, it's going to be massive. Like with AI, we're about to get like 5-man, like literally we might have a 3-man company or 4-man company using AI, and we make $100 million a year. We can run $100 million business with 4 people, literally with AI. And you're going to start, and then within 20 years, you're going to see. It's probably going to be sooner than that. I'm kind of like, because like it doesn't grow linearly; it grows exponentially.
The idea about it right now is about 20 years, it's going to be set.
Yeah,
and then,
just like social media is now, where it's like, this is how we make our money.
Exactly.
Right. It's like buying Bitcoin for $1.
It's like imagine life without YouTube. What do you mean?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
That's how fucking crazy it is. It's like, well, yeah, dude. Like we use these technologies in order to kind of get everything. There's going to be an entire infrastructure of companies just to service people that are working on AI companies. So it's sort of like you're like you own like I'm a company that essentially allows you to buy like pieces of other companies, or allows you to buy all the materials from factories in China or in the United States to source stuff so you can use so just plug and play me. I'm taking 1% of your sales. I'll plug you out here. We'll get all the shipping routes. You don't have to touch anything. I handle that. And then cool. So there's going to be like all kinds of like B2B or B2I or B2A, like business to AI to see customer.
Well, if you ask smart Zoomers, like, hey, where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years? That interview question. Yeah. The funniest answer is like, I don't know, because we'll see with AI. But
they're just waiting it out.
But then the last few webinars we do, we just close it out. Oh yeah,
I got you. Hang on. There you go.
Yeah, we just close it out. I don't know if you want to mention the last 3 there.
Yeah. So after, I mean, that's how big the AI one. Like literally these webinars,
right?
The shortest a webinar will be about 3.5 hours. Most of them run about 4 to 5 hours, and this is twice a day. They start at 10 a.m. Eastern.
They're all recorded.
Eastern time.
Eastern time. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just because we have a lot of East Coast people, so it's like it's better to go Eastern. But like we're on the West Coast, so it's our 7 in the morning. 7 in the afternoon, but 10 in the morning, 10 in night. They're all recorded. So we go 2 days on, 2 days off.
Okay.
2 days on. That way, if someone misses something because of work, they have 2 days to kind of catch up.
Yeah.
And then, and then this is why we put these AMAs here. These Q&As are here on the 13th, and on July 18th, we got another Q&A as well in there.
Mm-hmm.
So Pulse Chains, basically, it's an undervalued chain where like we think it's like a decent place to put like a good investment. Maybe you might put like 5-10% of the portfolio, because it's such like it's crashed so much in price that there's a chance that like with the small amount of money you can turn into a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a really good opportunity. The SUI ecosystem as well. This one is totally based off of the whole fact that the United States, basically this is a VC backed project because there's so much, because all tokens are doing very well in L1 land are basically venture backed, big money, institutional money pushing it. So this one could actually, it's exactly how Charlie said, this is a kind of Solana 2.0.
Right.
And one thing that just threw me over the edge with it, where I was like, all right, I'm in, was that they had a partnership with the Phantom Wallet.
Mm-hmm.
So this cycle, the most viral app in crypto is the Phantom Wallet. It's a mobile app. It's a desktop app as well.
Have it right here.
Yeah, you have it right there.
PH.
Yeah, it's a Phantom app, and everyone basically uses it to trade shit coins and meme coins. It's basically to speculate, right? Well,
that's why it's my favorite.
That's why they just added SUI.
Mm-hmm.
SUI did a part. So that wallet's almost 100% just Solana.
Mm-hmm.
They now are doing SUI.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I needed to know. That means they have the political connections and the financial connections in the VC land to be like, hey, let us
get SUI on Phantom now.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
So now the same Solana degeners are like, oh, I just push one button, I'm on SUI now.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Money can flow really easy.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
And that's why it's like we look. That was the moment for me. That's the kind of things we look for. Like,
yeah,
there we go.
Mm-hmm.
And then
we can make money.
Yeah, and then we have some flash webinars throughout the quarter, so we add more to that. But we haven't announced the actual founder's name. But there's a project that we're in touch with that we know that we're having come in. The CEO from that company, they're about $1 billion+ company right now.
That's not Polemos.
They're related towards them. We got the connection through them. Yeah, not them specifically, but I would say one of the trends you're going to see. I'm not going to go too far into it because like some of our guys watch all our episodes, might piece it together. But I would say when you're $1 billion+ company, right, you view the market a little differently. Sure. So we're going to try to we're going to get that guy into the webinar, into a flash webinar, talking about kind of like from a high level, high money point of view in the crypto space, like how do you actually succeed and like, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But the other thing I would say is IPOs are things to watch out for down the line. Mm-hmm. Because once we get into the late part of the cycle, I think Kraken is going to do their IPO. Circle has their IPO. I think we're going to get some other IPOs as well. And
over the next year, maybe 9 months.
Right. Yeah. And so when we have like a cluster of those and a cluster of the ETFs for the altcoins and different things like that, that'll come in towards pretty much the tail end of the cycle.
Top.
And so we're going to do this thing called the Take Profits course in addition to all this.
What's that, Charlie?
Oh, yeah.
What's that?
It's a
How do I do that?
It's a 5 webinar series that you can add on basically to this. And if you do that 5 webinar series, then we'll pretty much set you up for the end of the bull market, but then also trading local tops and bottoms and stuff like that. But
much more intermediate advanced topics, basically of how to like handle profit taking and how to essentially set up trades if you really want to. And so we're only selling it with the people who are actually taking the current course because we need to make sure like it started like giving dynamite to children. It's that sort of thing. So take this, what you're doing, and then you can do the Take Profits course. We're going to do 4 of them. We've officially decided 4 of them.
So that's in addition to what's on the schedule.
Correct. Yeah. And so a majority of people are signing up for it as well. So it's like we almost have like even sales with it. But like but basically we're as every course goes along, basically this bull market is within this year. Yeah. Within 4 quarters, basically. So it could end anywhere from quarter 4 of this year to somewhere at the beginning of quarter 2 of 2026. And there's a lot of geopolitical sort of economic reasons, interest rate cuts, finally, a lot of the Trump's
big beautiful deal,
the end of all these trade deals, getting resolved, these wars finally calming down, as well as a lot, Trump, as much as people want to talk shit about Trump has literally brought $15 trillion of investment to the United States. As this starts hitting the economy is going to start speeding up, and we just hit an all-time high in the S&P 500. After all the stuff that's going on in the world, we're hitting
recession every year. Recession fears,
all-time high in equities, right? And crypto. I mean, Bitcoin wise is at all-time highs right now. It is. It's $107,000. Its all-time high is $111,000. In 23, it was $15,500. That's just the biggest asset there. Yeah. Solana, when the bottom came in, Solana hit $7. It hit $300 in November 24. Yeah. It's come down now, but it's still at $1.40 right now. It's about to have an ETF come out. It's about to get pushed out to more people. We're about to have another run. That's why we're setting things up right now, because we're about to enter at least one more run up. Yeah. But it's looking to us possibly there's going to be 2 more run ups. So it's going to be maybe like one that happens like end of fall and maybe the beginning of winter. Boom, crash, and then another setup sometime in maybe like February, April. May in there.
And we got that in 2018 as well, where it was like kind of a relief bounce to the beginning of the bear market. So it can be like end of bull market vibes in early next year, or it could be like kind of relief bounce off of the beginning of a bear market drop as well. So we're basically within the Take Profits webinar, we kind of give you guys different metrics with the on-chain technical and fundamental analysis, of kind of how to spot those types of things, because I think we're really good at bottoms. We're getting better at tops. The tops are the hardest thing for almost everybody in the market to really understand. So the more like all the data that we're giving in there is the first time we've ever mentioned it. We've never mentioned most of this stuff on YouTube or in our previous courses or anything. So
we're giving the sauce away.
And same with the AI one and the SUI one. So we got a lot of new content coming out with this course that I think a lot of people wouldn't want to miss. And the longer we go in this bull market, the faster things get. So the more you know beforehand, the better you are to make money. But if you try to learn those things as it's happening at this point in the cycle, you generally will fumble the ball a little bit more.
Prepared.
And one thing that I've been saying, so like this is why I love being red pill aware, being in the red pill. I know that comment killed me. That shit was funny. Like,
generational bottoms.
Generational dip wheeler. Dip wheeler, baby. But if you guys want a Twitter account to follow, look for Dip Wheeler. This guy's always posting girls' butts and saying like generational bottom. One of the best accounts in there. But this is like we're in a, like the reason that we're having. We've specifically said we're having 4 cash out courses means the next 4 courses is basically the range where all the action and money is going to be made. As each one goes along, the cash out course is going to change slightly to like let's take profits, let's reinvest back in, let's take profits, and then the last one's going to be where to put profits and how to hold money. So it's going to be we're going to start teaching guys how to like where to hold the stables, how to be safe, how to like pay your taxes, be careful, and we're not tax professionals, tax lead. We're just mentioning, pay your taxes.
Right. And we know the second half of 2026 is going to be probably the worst performance of crypto, but that's where you can cultivate crypto or dollar cost crypto and get the most Bitcoin you want. One of the things that CZ, the founder of Binance, put out the other day, he said 0.1 Bitcoin will be the value of the average United States house in a few years or in a few decades.
Like 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
And that's no money right now.
And that would be around about a $3.5 million Bitcoin, right? Would be where you get 0.1 Bitcoin being the average cost of a house, something like that, right? Maybe around $350,000, of course, adjusted for inflation over time. You can pull that up if you want.
The average house.
But
so $5 million Bitcoin. But basically right now, 10% of a Bitcoin costs you $10,000.
But
when the market was at the bottom, so in 23, right, in the beginning of 23, Bitcoin was $15,000. 10% of a Bitcoin was $1,500.
Well, and it used to be just buy one whole Bitcoin, you're good. Now it's buy 0.1 Bitcoin. Eventually, be like buy a freaking 1,000 sats, you'll be good.
1% of a Bitcoin.
Yeah, exactly. And so like where I'm going towards within 2026 is if you get those profit taking courses good throughout the next year, then the second half of next year we have a lot of guys who are like, okay, how much Bitcoin can I accumulate? Can I accumulate a full Bitcoin? I think if we get up to like $200,000 Bitcoin, we'll drop down 70% or so, and that'll bring us down towards like $60,000. So it's not going to be cheaper, most likely than it might be a little bit cheaper than $50,000, but that's like the lowest you probably see in the next bear market. So like really just like expanding your capital that you have in the next 1 year will be really important so that you can really get that one at the bottom of 26, because BlackRock right now owns 3% of all Bitcoin. They're going to try to go towards 10%,
which they will do.
Wow.
Which I believe they will do.
It took them a year and a half to get 3%. that was when the market was going up generally, so they had to do it a little bit slower. The next year and a half, let's say they get it to 7%. That will be at the end of 26 when all of us still have the opportunity to get a lot of Bitcoin under $100,000. Then we get into 28, 29, and Bitcoin becomes like so difficult for people to get.
Impossible.
And BlackRock owns 10% at that point. And like, it's like, they still don't control the network.
It's a different world.
It's still a decentralized network, but yeah, now the main players are in. Then just think about 2029, how much they're going to be like, oh yeah, everybody get in,
Yeah.
you know, because right now they're still a little quiet.
Yeah.
So, and so we're going to have a webinar. It's a working title, but basically it's called $60,000 Bitcoin is the title of it. And, I'm not sure whether to put it in the course right now or in the cash out webinar, but it's a really important about Kyle. Look at what's the average income in America. The average income. This is why it's so crazy. Like
$60,000.
Yeah. When you have it up, just let me know, Kyle. But basically, all right. So me and Charlie have been in crypto since 2016, 17. Okay. The first time I ever was able to buy a Bitcoin, it was $400. Okay. So 39. 30,
40.
Okay, let's round up to 40,000. That's the average. You know. Okay, so let's just do
80,000.
You know, because we're sexist, we're gonna go with 40,000. Because all the single males, right?
Bringing the average down.
So let's just say Charlie's correct because you're right. Like basically, Bitcoin could hit 160. It could go $250,000, maybe 300, 400,000. Who knows? Somewhere between 160 to $250,000 is probably going to be the average price. Let's just say it's $250,000. When every cycle that it crashes like 3 to 5, 10% less. It's like there's times when Bitcoin would literally crash 95%, which is like $1 to 5 cents. Oh my God. And then it'd go to $30 to $1. It's still bad, but it's starting to get a little less bad. Then it keeps dropping less. It's still, the drops are massive, but they're like becoming less and less. So like, so $400 to 20,000, 20,000 to 3,100. Then it pumps to 69 grand, only goes to $15,000. Right now we're at 100. So let's just say if it goes to $250,000, it might only go to 70 grand. If the average income in America, like put it up again, Kyle. Let's say it's $40,000. Okay. The actual, so I know the statistic on this. So
a dual household would be able to get one Bitcoin, or what do you call it? A single household would get
if they only
half a Bitcoin.
If they only eat mayonnaise and corn. but like as an example, right? So the rule of thumb usually is that whatever your average income is, 20% of it, for the most part, until you start getting into like hundreds of thousands of dollars, is discretionary income. So 20% of that 40,000, which is $8 grand, you actually can spend on fun stuff: cars, girls, liquor, whatever you want.
Hookers and blow.
Yeah, you know, it's going to a good weekend, but for the rest of the year, it's a little hard. It's a little tootsie. The pink stuff. But like, but most of that money is being spent on food, vehicle, housing. Right. You know, and then you've got a little bit of in that 8,000 spread out within 12 months. So it's like $2 grand. You know, it's not that much money. So. So realistically, the average guy really, if he's fucking really concentrated, he might only be able to put about 12 grand of that into crypto per year.
Right.
Beforehand in previous cycles, so last cycle, right? In 2019, a guy could buy a Bitcoin for $3. So that normal guy could buy a full Bitcoin.
Yeah. I mean, when I first came out with my channel, Bitcoin was $4,000 in March of 2019. With the whole cycle, we were saying, hey, everybody in the red pill, buy a whole Bitcoin, buy a whole Bitcoin, buy a whole Bitcoin, buy more than a whole Bitcoin if you can. Byron got a few, right? And he's barely been invested in crypto. He's sitting on $500,000.
That's just on Ethereum.
And that's just on one wallet.
And that's not talking about some other stuff.
Exactly. So it's just like one of those things where it's like, maybe there might be something to this,
Right. And so that's where it gets scared. That whole webinar is going to be about, it's kind of like it's like impending doom. It's sort of like the wall's coming. The wall's coming, like the inevitable wall is coming. It's like basically your income cannot keep up to how exponentially much this industry is growing, and the train's starting to leave you by. Now this is why also
it's kind of like when Microsoft, Apple, Yahoo, Google, all these companies, right? Everybody had a chance in the 90s to jump on some of that stuff, and then by the time you got to 2005. The train had left the station, and the market had crashed and stuff like that. But most people didn't have as much to invest at that point too, and so it's like if they didn't really take that seriously, right? Like we've had guys in the course who are like, I've missed every single, Microsoft, Apple, Nvidia, all these things in my lifetime. I'm not going to miss crypto. And like
we had a guy that gave us this fucking epic spiel of how he has basically fumbled the fucking bag for
For
30 or
everything,
40
yeah.
fucking years.
Yeah.
He came to us kind of like, I'm a retard. I'm
I'm
sorry,
alright.
but I have generationally fucked up.
Well, sir.
So much.
The AI and crypto webinar is
It's
for
gonna
you.
say-
Just for you. Yes.
But
Oh
but
my
that's
God.
the whole. That's why it's so. That's why that webinar where we're like, it might be in the cash out webinar. Me and Charlie are still moving things around, but that webinar is about really like lighting the fire. The plan. Look, like the goal is to get laid, which is like cash out and make a fuck ton of money.
Mhm.
But there's a greater goal is to be able to buy the bottom on the next
Mhm.
side, because essentially we're in the roaring 20s.
Yeah.
We're in the roaring. Look, it literally is
sure.
lining up so perfectly. What's the next top of the cycle? Me and Charlie can tell you it's 2029.
Yeah.
Maybe 2030. Things can move.
Yeah, but probably 2029.
29, right? So that's literally the top of the stock market crash. It's fucking 1929.
Yep.
And but look what's happening. Like that entire run up in the 1920s was basically a technology boom
Right.
off of railroads and radio towers.
Radio. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was all speculation off of like, so they ended World War One. Everyone had a bunch of savings because it was the first time the public got sold war bonds. So they basically spent all, because they're in war anyway. So you're not gonna, what are you gonna do with your money? So people just dumped all their money into victory bonds, and then the war was won. So bonds started being paid back this is the first time the public had savings. And then so people became bond investors. Other people were like, well, let's put it in equities. So we had a huge stock market run. So we had this whole thing where the United States after World War I started growing massively because we were basically high rises were being put up, radio towers. I mean, basically everything was going crazy. Steel, iron workers. I mean, there's money everywhere. This is the flappers era. This is where people,
towards the end of the Industrial Revolution. Per
Correct.
se,
Yeah.
And then-
Prohibition and then not prohibition.
yeah. It's just, but like tons of money being made. There's the stock market people are making fortunes. And then what happens is around 1925, 1926, the savings of World War I start going away. Basically, people run through all the savings at that point. And then so what happens, the market starts, there's always leverage, but then the prop houses start dump. I'll give you 2x leverage, 3x leverage. So you could be a guy with coming in with $100. I'll sell you $500 of Anaconda steel as an example. And then it starts going, or telecommunications company, and it starts going higher. And then eventually what the top was is that these companies or these prop shops couldn't lend out more than 7x leverage or 7 times your money. So if you come in with $1,000, they give you 7 G's. And then at that point, once they couldn't lend any more money out, boom, market
and that was
crashing.
responsible lending.
And that was just 7x leverage. I mean, you can get 100 on gold.
Yeah, I know.
But that's like the whole. That's why we're so like history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes.
Yep.
And so we're seeing things where like it's very likely that maybe we get a very, 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 very bad. Like I think like Charlie said, what happens if these banks put themselves in position this cycle that they have enough supply to really sell in 29 and just fleece people? And so we're getting ready ourselves. Like we're not gonna let them fleece us. So we're gonna make as much money as we can. It's gonna crash, but just like in 2001 when the tech bubble crashed, look at all the companies that came out. Apple, Amazon. I mean, you had the most massive, most powerful companies come out of that financial tech boom. Pets.com, even though people make fun of it, Pets.com was actually factually correct. They were essentially doing what Amazon's doing. Like you could go on their website, order all your food, all the pet food and all the things you wanted, and it could deliver to your house. That's fucking Amazon.
Yeah.
They were like Pets.com was actually doing everything correct. The problem is it was too early.
Yeah, too
early. Yeah. But that's what's gonna happen. And the thing is, it's by the next, so crypto runs on 4-year cycles because of Bitcoin. So 29 is the next top, 2032 is the next one. 2032, we could have a $3 million Bitcoin.
Oh yeah,
we could, or a million.
I would say 2033 to 2037. That's the chance. That's where you're probably going to get your first $1 million Bitcoin. It's going to be the same thing as what happened around $100,000 Bitcoin.
And here's my favorite thing when those things happen. When Bitcoin hits $1 million, this is what the media, they're so good at this. Do you know, you stupid motherfucker, if you had just bought Bitcoin, we told you not to buy it.
When we told you not to buy it,
we told you it was rat poison.
They're all a fucking expert
you
now.
Bought it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so you guys want to get in on this? This is going to registration closes on Thursday.
Thursday
for
evening.
me, for my links.
Exactly.
Use
Thursday
my
the
link.
3rd,
Use my
July
link.
3rd at midnight Pacific Standard Time.
Okay, so July 3rd closes. Use my link. It's the only one that's in the description right there, so you guys can go and just click
and you
right
can
ahead.
You can use Apple Pay, PayPal
Right.
credit. We literally have allowed every single type of payment on it.
And once again, you guys do this like how long have you been doing this?
I think this is our 17th or 18th round.
18th round,
5
and you
years.
guys have to keep it fresh every time you do it too,
Correct.
for every quarter, because it has to renews every time. So you guys, you're the hardest working guys in crypto.
We're the only
absolutely.
guys doing this.
Well,
Actually.
yeah,
literally
you are.
the only guys.
Well, and like everybody gets to keep the recording, so everybody who's like let's say people who came in Q4 2021 still have access to all the recordings from back then too.
Right.
So we don't take
So
that away from you guys.
lifetime access.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Lifetime
cool.
access.
Excellent.
The chats. I mean, we have chats that go back from 2020. They're still active today. People are still talking in those chats and stuff. We have the average chat groups from back then is about like 900 to 1100 people and stuff in those groups. People are still talking to each other, friendly and everything like that. We still get questions in there. We answer questions all the time. We have never closed a chat down ever. We've had, sometimes, the chats are privileges, not rights.
Correct.
But
we do kick out a few people here and there if what do you call it? They disrupt
abusive.
the group.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think literally me and Charlie have kicked out less than 10 people.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
In 5 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's how and that's the thing too, because that's why we would love onboarding Red Pill, because Red Pill people are like, I'm responsible for my own destiny.
Right.
I need to go forward.
Right.
Versus like,
I need to put in the work.
You put in the work out actually,
Yeah.
and this is why Red Pill people have been so successful in crypto, and this is why we've gravitated. Like the Red Pill just is like the Red Pill industry in general knows more about crypto than the average other industry.
True.
We really do. So,
Yeah, very true. All right, guys. Well, thank you. I will be here tomorrow with Captain Kyle, and we'll be doing my show. I'll be hitting on.
Look at those triceps. Look at those triceps.
Right, yeah.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah. I've been sporadically getting back to the gym now since I've had this shingle stuff, and it's like finally it feels good to get back
Standing
and lift
press,
again.
You want boulder shoulders?
Yes.
Standing military
Yeah,
presses.
exactly.
So you get them.
You're the one that got me to go to Powerhouse.
Yeah.
But anyways, I'll be in tomorrow. That will be at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern here. If you guys are interested in the Cultivate Crypto class for quarter three, right? Quarter three, you just click on my link, which is right there. I'm going to have it up for tomorrow's show as well. And then I'll promote for most of the week until we're ready to go.
Beautiful.
So, and I'm going to audit that one class, the AI one.
Please come in and
sure.
stuff. And can we have you in a webinar as well? Because we've been
Sure.
Fresh is going to do.
Sure.
Because Fresh is going to do a webinar as well. We always call it return on flex.
Yeah,
because he does a class. So outside of the 15 courses that are we're going to do live, we do something called flash webinars where we bring special guests in. We love to have Rolo Tomasi there. We love.
Sure. Let me know when Fresh goes. Maybe I'll just come in and
tag team.
there.
Tag team.
That might be fun.
But that one's a really interesting webinar because he talks about he has done it all in terms of spend money on cars, on jewelry, women, and all this other stuff. And he just is like, hey, this is where if you're going to do flexing or dumb stuff, or because we've been, I had a really, really honest long talk with Fresh about anytime you get money for the first time, I don't care who you are, you're going to feel like you misspend it. Everybody does it. Even if we asked Myron honestly, he was like, "Yeah, I probably would have done a deal different. Even if it's an investment, I would have done it different."
You always learn something,
right?
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong when you first get money. You're going to spend. I kind of spent 40,000 where I shouldn't have done on this, or I did that. But that's but you wouldn't get the experience if you didn't do it.
Right.
Correct.
Exactly.
Because you don't want the most successful people on the planet are not one trick ponies. They're people who can consistently keep going back to make money.
Repeat successes.
Correct.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah. So return on flex, and of course. Children with Dynamite with Rolo.
Yes. Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks. I will see you guys tomorrow, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. Bye, guys.
Do it again. I need to feel you on top of me. It was my first time, but I was just a kid when we met and went to bed. It was my first time. What do you expect from me? I'm breaking up the rules now in the game. I've got some new tools. Please do the same. Time came by when over like a matchbox stereo. Time to get my thoughts now, let go. Bound to keep me up all night. But maybe we can forget, and maybe things are different. Goddamn, baby, one more again. Won't you put it on me one more again? I need to know. Now we're fucking in the bathroom, tearing up every wall while I got your hair. Why you screaming my name? She was swinging in the bedroom, whole time stopping and stopping with her head like she's calling you Kelly. So baby girl, run me up and down like a pony, turning up my song, getting messy, working up and down on your body. Run me up and down like a pony, turning up my song on your body. Baby, we'll get down to it all night, but maybe we can fuck again, and maybe things are different. Goddamn, baby, one more again, won't you put it on me one more again? I need to know if maybe we can fuck again, then maybe things are different. Goddamn, baby, one more again.
Preceding podcast has been a production of the Irrational Male. All rights reserved. 2025 registered trademark. And don't steal Miguel and Charlie stuff.
If maybe we can fuck